buenas noches. Estamos vivo aquí in 718 TV Studios. Hi, I'm Stan Haynes. He's Monoxus, and you're watching twitch.tv/Monoxus. Time Paradox.
Yeah, we'll turn it up. Relax. Get in there, fucking people.
All right. Everyone is a critic these days, and one reason for that is we're both, because we're going to be discussing current events.
Crank the mics. Louder. Listen, we have a lot of things to fix. The green screen's got a fucking crack in it. The camera's got to get moved. Calm down.
Now, hang on, ladies and jerks.
Oh, is there a way to do this right? Now let's see. Let's play around with the setup here.
There, what's going on?
The one time Haynes doesn't want to yell at the mic.
Ha! Fine. We'll start screaming metal lyrics out of context from this point forward. All right. So there, what's good, homie? Kool-Aider, buenas noches. ¿Cómo está, caballero?
Scooch over just a bit.
All right.
Yeah. So you're good there.
So
I'm good here.
Oh, the mobile notification said you were gonna play RE4.
It definitely does not say that on my end.
All right.
I don't know what the hell that's all about. Let's see. Let's see what the stream info says.
All right.
Talk shows and podcasts.
All right. So
Twitch is bugging.
So Kool-Aider, we're not trying to call you out on these shenanigans, but I'm just looking over at what Monoxus' screen over here has to present to me and him. All right.
I mean, look, Twitch is a little stupid sometimes, and I can't fix Twitch.
So as you can tell, all right, over our shoulders is Times Square, yes. But on the other hand, there is now a discussion that is going on that I'd like to say is it's on one hand long overdue. Ladies and jerks, I know we were going to be discussing things like time zones and fashion and other such things, but we'd like to take a moment to discuss current events. All right, so.
Oh, it's not a professional background. It's just a live fucking camera on Times Square.
Sup, real hero? Yes. Over on yonder is live in Times Square, and I'm not sure if it's going to be zooming in back and forth between the crowd and the NYPD vans.
Come on, Mike, work with me here.
But earlier there was a Palestinian flag and an Israeli flag side by side, and there were people arguing. So I don't know what's going on over. What's it look like? Oh, it's just the NYPD vans. Okay, so
the cameraman's a little bit of a jerk. He doesn't know what he's doing, I think.
I believe this is unprecedented because this was one discussion that was not allowed in any way, shape, or form for whatever reason. Like, okay, so Monoxus and I are here in New York City, and there is a certain particular brand of East Coast liberal that is to the left of everything except Israel.
It's kind of pissing me off. You see, I mean, you can. I'm sure they can see it too, but like, so there's like this some kind of screen that the cameraman's got like in the corner here.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
and it's collateral damage.
Sensual banana eating. I'm gonna eat a banana, and you're welcome to make a GIF out of it.
So,
but I'm not gonna do it sensually.
Kool-Aider, it is entirely up to you whether you want to add subtitles to this or not. So the point is,
sorry.
You have to get up close to the microphone.
No, I have to be as not sensual as possible, otherwise this gets turned into something terrible.
Right. You win this round.
So I gotta chew horribly. Just bite. We're not putting any music to it. You can do that on your own free time.
So
in fact, if you want, I could technically turn the background off, remove the filter, and just have a green screen. And then they can just green screen me eating a banana into things.
Just it's like the Battle of D-Day. There's just like footage of you eating a banana, like in black and white. There's like someone's trying to like tightrope walk the Twin Towers, like on a tightrope walk.
I got it. Just in case. Like what?
Or are you gonna put up a banana eating background?
No.
Please tell me you will.
No, I'm going to temporarily disable this.
I'm already let down.
Yeah, I know the background. I did it on purpose. So now, me eating a banana is on a green screen.
But you have to get rid of the coffee mug so it's like full.
Nah, you can crop it. Why do I gotta do the cropping? If someone wants to make a dumbass GIF or use me on a green screen eating a banana for something, that's on them.
All right. So I'm
just providing video footage that can be used for something terrible.
I'm not saying that Monoxus would like to see...
I'm shutting myself up.
I'm not saying Monoxus would like to see black and white footage of himself inserted into stuff like World at War footage, where like the Germans are fighting the Russians and like the Americans are fighting the Germans, and it begins like Chapter 13, D-Day.
Yeah.
And Monoxus isn't saying he'd like to see that, but if you do, just keep in mind that there's a coffee mug directly in front of him. You have to crop that out.
Just crop it out. And I'm sure a cameraman will find some way to use that. He's pretty good with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just putting me like in the background of like horrible events. But anyway, I'm gonna finish this banana. We're gonna talk a little bit about what was happening in the background, which the camera person is being a jerk and not showing.
And now but you see, so there's just like zooming into the like I had mentioned earlier, the NYPD vans. So
but there's a Palestine-Israel protest.
All right.
And I don't know if Twitch doesn't want us talking about that. We're going to talk about it a little bit.
We couldn't put it... Well, I mean, to what degree could we have not put it up on the video title or description? Like,
I'm just not putting it in the title because usually when things like this are like popping off, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it is, they don't like you unless you're pro something, because like everyone leans some direction, you know what I mean? I don't know where Twitch leans on the Palestine-Israel conflict.
Right. This is a very good...
You know what
I don't... Well, and what if YouTube gets involved? And then YouTube is all like, well, we don't know what to...
Because when this goes up on YouTube, I have to title that too, you know what I mean? So, I'm not chancing...
No, we could just put in current events of
the date, yeah.
So without having to mention it like explicitly.
Current events.
Little dabs, what's good, homeboy? Like Mark Wahlberg in Vietnam pics. That's right. That's exactly right.
Yes. Except with me eating a banana.
Danger 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However hard you try to not eat a banana sensually, Macoxus will come out again. Is that you, Thupa?
There's smoke.
Uh-oh.
There's smoke.
Is that tear gas?
No. It looks like a smoke bomb.
Oh, okay.
Are they waving a Palestinian flag? Is that what's happening? So they're using green smoke?
Uh-oh.
Anyway, let's... Fuck these jerk-offs.
So part of current events is what you kind of see on screen right now.
Yeah.
So,
if you're not aware, and this is how I've taken it. So Israel and Palestine have been doing their thing for decades now, and prior to the Israel-Palestine thing, religious groups in that general area of the world have been doing their thing for hundreds of years. And sometime in the last, I think it's like a week now. Sometime in the last week. You're now allowed to talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict and take a side, because doing so beforehand made you like an anti-Semite. But now you can talk about it, and now you can take an anti-Israel stance and not be an anti-Semite all of a sudden.
Well, for the first time in the history of anything ever, you too can criticize where so much of American tax dollars go to. That is not us.
Yeah, which is funny. I gotta finish this banana. I'm gonna keep talking with a mouthful.
I'm just saying. No, but I did get that idea out of Thupa. All right, there, not Thupa. All right, so there goes.
Definitely not Thupa.
All right, there, Thupa's evil twin that just has like a mustache, but it's the size of his hand. There goes. I hope both teams have fun. You know, you'd make a good war coach, which is, I think, better known as a general, right?
I feel like Thupa might be the evil twin, but.
The evil Russian twin.
I'm just saying, people can't not use bad words, so it might be a bad one. Anyway, you had mentioned before, because we were talking about this beforehand, because we don't want to go too much into the whole Israel-Palestine thing. I think we both fall on the same line on this one.
Right.
It's not our problem, except for the part where our government gives them billions of dollars in relief and aid to continue just carpet bombing an entire region of the world for religious reasons.
Right. I mean, or because there's okay, for starters, the United States doesn't even do Middle Eastern intel anymore. It just asks Israel, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And we give their intelligence agencies whatever we have because reasons. I'm not quite sure of this, but it should be noted that that even the interest born on all of the taxpayer dollars since like 1949. Uh, you could rebuild like 7 American cities with just with the interest alone.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
It is a bit bewildering to know that it is of the utmost importance that our greatest ally in the region is sending snipers on kids who survived the White Phosphorus. Like, this is like Guts or Legends of the Hidden Temple, but you don't get extra lives. And it's the IDF. It's not like the aggro Crag or that big head that made you like try to die when you're in the stealing dungeon part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trying to get the golden monkey.
The fuck was that guy's name? It wasn't Olmec.
It was Olmec, I think.
Was it Olmec?
Yeah.
Aha! All right.
Pretty sure it was Olmec. Either way, yeah, that's just, it's weird. I find it fascinating. I mean, I've got people in my like social feed that
The Bulgarian evil twin.
and I mentioned to you that like every time there's a new rights violation somewhere that they are just becoming aware of, or everyone is like championing it all of a sudden,
Right.
they just jump on it. The same people where it was like Black Lives Matter, and they were like, oh well, just fucking got up about it, and then it was like Asian hate, still not taking vaccines, well, you know, and now it's like Palestine, and they have no horse in any of these races, they have no stake in any of them, and they're just.
However, this,
But now I can talk poorly about Israel, openly,
but right,
and
because
not be an anti-Semite. I'm just pro-Palestine, and they're horrible, horrible monsters who put children in the hospital, and then I have to look at those fucking pictures of burnt children. How dare you, Israel?
now herein
Now
lies.
that's gonna get us in trouble.
You see, herein lies the issue. For the longest time, you see, he's already getting texts from the FCC saying things like,
Stop talking about
like
Israel.
you better have someone else start your car tomorrow. Watch. He's gonna have someone like what? There's gonna be like guns and drugs in his luggage when he goes on vacation mysteriously when he lands.
I was actually because like I have a couple of people I know that are followers, and they occasionally pop in to watch. And some of them might be Jewish.
Oh well, listen. You can be against.
Stop that. No.
You can be against Israel and not have a thing against the people who inhabit Israel. It is the state of Israel that one's criticism goes to because, listen, it is the most militarized country in the history of the world ever since, like, ever.
Yeah.
It is, and considering how much it has been propped up by the United States for so many years.
Why did we send them? What was it, $20 billion for the COVID relief? Some shit like that. It was
Yeah.
a ridiculous number.
And you know where it didn't go to? America, which is like kind of bizarre
People
because
still don't have jobs.
both sides, both political parties have
Shut down.
people who just slavishly praise Israel because reasons. There's never quite a proper unpacking or a walkthrough as to why they are our greatest ally in the Middle East, because before we had a greatest ally in the Middle East, we didn't have any enemies in the Middle East,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Well, maybe this can finally put that to bed. Maybe we can finally all agree that we should have talked about this a long time ago, and Israel has way too much protection,
Mm-hmm.
and this needs to stop. And
Well-
we need to stop getting involved.
We'll meet you halfway. If you just give up all your bulldozers tomorrow, like I'll meet you halfway, then we could maybe make some concessions. I don't know.
I just, I find it.
Shut it
fascinating.
down.
We can- It's finally being talked about,
Activate form slide.
and I don't, and like I the only thing I can attribute it to is that the words, like those people,
Buzzword, catchphrase, verb, the adjective noun.
they're losing steam on other fronts, or they're running out of words to throw at things.
Mhm.
And then it was like, what? Israel and Palestine have been going to war forever? People are dying? It's mildly bigoted? Words! And
Mildly bigoted at the very least. Now, Monoxus has brought something up before we were streaming. You see, there is now this platform that seems to be, very popular with people who are keen on activism and social justice, and where they posit that an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere.
yes.
So now, if Palestine is being framed as an injustice,
I have two questions for those people.
then now to go back to the fracture where like Monoxus and I live in New York City, and like here there are liberals who lean so far to the left, like Vietnam vets who lost their left leg to a claymore covered in punji sticks. They lean more to the left than those Vietnam vets on everything. But the moment you bring up Israel, like a switch goes off, or like they see red, they start to foam at the mouth, and then like, why do you hate the chosen people?
Oh, it'll be very cool when everyone stops talking about it, because that's coming. But 2 questions for those people. For the, injustice anywhere is injustice at home. We have to harump about it. When are we going to get to the death camps in China? And when are we going to get to the active slave trade in Africa that's been going on since we abolished slavery? Because if injustice anywhere is injustice at home,
right,
we have a lot of work to do.
Well, hopefully,
Or how about the child trafficking in places like Thailand? We got to work on that.
Right. Hell, child trafficking in America.
Well, come on. We can't.
Tunnel systems notwithstanding.
We can't go after Hollywood or politicians. They're kind of funding all of this. So we have to hit them last.
All right.
We tried that. We tried going after the elite a long time ago with Occupy Wall Street.
And then it got infiltrated by the progressive stack.
Also,
and that is the birth of identity politics.
We tried with Epstein, and then you saw what happened. You can't go after the American pedophiles. You have to go after the pedophiles elsewhere.
Oh well. I mean, anyone who tried to investigate like the background of Marc Dutroux, this Belgian serial killer who evidently had ties to like members of royal family across Europe. Anyone who tried to like investigate his ordeal just was got.
It's more injustice on the internet is injustice at home for a week. Yeah, but it's topical. We want to talk about it. But I guess that's the ultimate point we're making. It's
right.
Like, for some reason,
not bad, Danger.
For some reason, this week it's just okay to criticize Israel. I wonder how long it'll last.
I'd say
about a week.
I'd say 2 weeks tops.
Yeah.
No,
we're back to the normal outrage cycle. It no longer lasts months.
Little Debs chimes in with Coca-Cola killing trade unionists in Colombia. Oh, dude, there's this pamphlet written by I think Colonel Smedley Butler, and it was written in like the 30s, and it's called "War is a Racket," and he was like a colonel in the Marines, and he was like, the Marines have been deployed 109 times since we were founded to mostly protect corporate interests overseas.
Hey, we got to make like the infographics that they post on like Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook, being like, this is what's happening in blah, 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 because there's always one that pops up during these events.
Right.
We have to make like an overstuffed one with just like, and here are all the things that are currently still happening in the world you haven't noticed yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And see if we can get that to catch on.
So, at the very bottom of the list, can it be like U.S. Special Forces dying in Africa?
Yeah, I mean, we have to compile a full list. It's gonna take us a little while to get everything down, but like, we can put all of the ones, like, here's the ones you've noticed, or like the first things you've noticed, and then like, here's a list of the things you haven't noticed yet. Like, when are you gonna get to them?
Number 17 on the list is gonna end up being how Kool-Aid is gonna have his day in the sun, because number 17 is gonna be orthorexia nervosa. Because watch, mark my words, some people can afford to have orthorexia nervosa in late stage capitalism. They could afford to. All right, because like the time and energy that you would need to sustain yourself living with such a disaster in your mind and soul, you could bypass that if you have money.
We really gotta do this though.
And so
mostly because I want to have it saved on my phone, so anytime some douchebag that I know, or I guess people that I like also post dumb shit, I can just at them with it.
Then number 17 is veganism is orthorexia nervosa.
We'll work on this after stream, but we have to compile like as thorough of a list as we can come up with, and then I'll just make a little infograph and shrink it down so it's like appropriate for posting on social media.
How about
I mean, we're getting a couple over here, you know what I mean?
The Buddhist monks in Burma taking up arms against the Muslim refugees.
There's a lot. Like I want it to be overstuffed. Like, it's just so many things because that's the whole point of this.
Russia invaded Crimea, or what the that's still happening.
It's the whole point.
All right,
like, you people keep noticing things.
The oversaturated. We could meme it into discussion
because you people only notice things when it's thrown in your face and forced into being like, look at it. So we make an infograph of like, and here's all the other shit that's eventually going to make its way into your feed. You're welcome.
One day or another,
someone is eventually going to be like, words about all of these, but we're just beating them. And here's all of them. Here, be outraged. Look at all the horrible things going on in the
So
world.
you too can have an overstuffed graphic things going on in the world right
Oh
now.
boy, check Twitter.
Now, danger. Maybe we should start over and find a new ally, reset everything. Yes. Hold on.
That's amazing.
I gotta see this. So good. Cool later. What have you done?
So good.
I'm sorry, Danger. Listen,
oh my god.
Danger, we're gonna have tryouts, all right?
So good.
Listen, maybe we do need a new ally. I don't know. What are we? Are we gonna audition? I don't know.
No allies. No more allies.
No.
Everyone for themselves.
All right, fine. I'm
It's
sorry.
time. It's time to just fucking like brawl it out, and whoever survives gets to claim shit. I'm tired of this.
You know what America should do? Remember in The Dark Knight when he was like, "Oh, I'm looking to expand, and there's room for aggressive growth." And there are like three guys, and he breaks a pool stick, and he throws both halves on the floor, and he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, like,
Go. Yeah.
we should do that with allies."
Go.
Like, come on, Portugal and Spain finally have it out. Let's see who we end up doing trades with.
Yeah.
Oh, Portugal, you did Dutch genocide? All right, go fight Spain.
I mean, how can less?
You two got royal families, you jerk offs.
How can less borders be a problem?
Mhm.
You know, instead of having all of these different groups who are constantly infighting or debating whether or not they're superior, all right, let's just put it to the test. You think you're hot shit? Let's go.
Well, I'd like
1v1, country v country. That's
I-
it.
I'd like to believe that would also make for really good like pay-per-views. Like
Sure.
imagine the killing Twitch could make off of that with ads alone.
Yeah, but it's gotta be 1v1s, and it's gotta be at like optimal performance. You know what I mean?
Think of people who have streams like GloomTube or Woke, where it's just like happenings and screens and like live on, and it's gonna end up looking like various. It's gonna end up looking like various angles of a real-time strategy game happening, but there's no health bars over their head. There's no heads-up display.
Yeah.
Just armed forces in random angles, just like duking it out in various platforms.
Yeah. I mean, we can work that way all the way to the top until inevitably, like one person remains and they own everything.
All right. Egypt, we're looking at you.
I'm just saying, like a bracket, but like, yeah, we're gonna fight now.
I don't know. Egypt and Lebanon might be the main event in the end. I'm not quite sure.
You
how...
don't think the main event in the end would be like the U.S. versus someone?
Oh, I mean, I'm just talking about like the Middle East. Like,
Oh, over there, yeah. I think like main event would eventually be a new superpower that is born out of this war machine style combat.
oh, well, I mean, if because what if? Okay, well, this resides under the what if, and the what if is like no more allies. Okay,
Yeah.
now the Middle East is up for grabs. Like if it was honest to God free for all,
But in 1v1s,
in one.
because if it's free for all, it gets too messy.
If it was 1v1s, I think Egypt is the only country that could like it's gonna have to be Egypt or Lebanon because Saudi Arabia won't be able to just like keep throwing like mercs and
Oh
the
yeah, 'cause
logistics to
you
go
can't
other
buy
places.
assistance. You can no longer buy assistance. You have to do your own work.
Well,
No more allies. Winner takes all. Your country loses.
I
that's
need
it.
I
You're
need
done.
a haircut. We're gonna get to the rock paper scissors. Don't worry, but I need a haircut. Very sorry, ladies and jerks.
Yeah, final D. No allies, but with countries.
U.S. versus China versus Russia. That's most likely going to... Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, to what degree will China tolerate Russia and vice versa? In 1969, the Soviet premier called up Nixon, and he was like, I'm going to do it, man! I'm going to do it! And Nixon was like, no, don't nuke China. And, like, I bet you to this day, whenever America and, like, Russia have to meet China at the UN or in, like, backroom negotiations, they know that it was like we could have
Remember
not
that
been-
time? Yeah. Although I do, we'll do the rock paper scissors in a second. I do have a solution though to the whole. It will end with Russia, China, America.
Mhm.
You know how sometimes in tournaments of varying styles there are bye teams.
Mhm.
Like U.S. gets a bye, China gets a bye, Russia gets a bye. Until like let's say Europe just like whoops each other's asses until it's just like I don't know, one European nation remains, but now it owns the rest of their armies.
Right.
It's like now you can compete with the superpowers. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to throw China against Korea and be like, have fun, because like that's not fair. Bigger countries got to get a bye until the 1v1s have played out enough where it's like now you're basically the size of a superpower and now we're squaring off.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I mean, but here...
Just so
okay.
for the sake of not just being like USA versus like the next nearest thing, like USA versus Canada. We own Canada now. Now USA, who's absorbed Canada, versus Mexico.
Although
Like,
honestly,
you know what I mean?
I've always
It's
been
going to be a squashing eventually.
I've always been under the impression that the United States, more and like not just for strategic purposes, but like the United States should annex British Columbia and make it American Columbia. Like, why not be uninvadable like the whole coast? And on top of that, it's always been weird to me how it's like Alaska's the one jutting workaround where it's like like some people to get to Alaska you have to go through Canada.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the cops got involved.
uh-oh. The popo?
Well, they're closing in.
Uh-oh. All right, so Nixon was a China boo. That's the only reason they exist. Well, wasn't it Nixon who kind of like, got he lifted the bamboo veil and curtain, which kind of opened China to the world, for lack of a better term. Eventually, enough steam had picked up, and where Deng Xiaoping, I believe his name was, he was the economic brains behind China going from a backwater, mostly illiterate dirt farmer country into a superpower because they were like, words, words, words of the Little Red Cookbook variety.
Yeah.
And Deng Xiaoping's like, yeah, but money. So, words, 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 which is like, state-sponsored capitalism under the guise of communism, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
So, Deng Xiaoping was best known as saying, it doesn't matter if the cat is white or black, so what matters the most is which one catches the mouse.
Okay.
So,
Got a point.
he was like, this is still communism, even though we're giving millions of dollars in like 1981 to people to just buy up currency at the stock exchange en masse every day. China commie number one, go take more money. Like that's.
I don't know if they can hear you when you cover your mouth like that.
Okay, well that's on you. You don't get the subtitles.
Hey, there's a bot. Also, we got a rock paper scissors. Listen, bot, I do want to be famous, but what you're trying to get me to do is cheating.
I think. Oh God, who would be able to survive?
Hold on, I got a rock paper scissors. Right?
Okay.
On three.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh, wait, start over. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay.
1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Up.
Ha ha!
Cleaned up.
All right.
Come on, conflict. Anyway.
So,
get him, police! Get him!
I'm curious which European nation would be able to muscle their way into other countries, because you have to take into consideration, look at the topography and the geography of like Europe. It's like various mountains and lakes and rivers and marshes and like rolling plains and like hills, and it's not all one flat even land.
Under the 1v1 rules, they would be going against each other for various. I mean, I don't know how the pairings would work. That would be difficult to figure out. Because you kind of want to make it
What's
fair
to
fights.
stop Spain from fucking just taking over Portugal in 2 days?
Well, my point was going to be like you have to figure out a way of. I mean, there's no way it can be a balanced combat.
Right.
It's not possible. There are places that we're just dominating, and there are places that don't have proper militaries, and it's like, well, you're shit out of luck now. You've relied entirely on the protection of other people to survive. That's just how some of this works. I guess technically a country could be like, fight starts, ready, 3, 2, 1, surrender. We're done. We're good. Sorry, no fight. You win. We're yours now. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that.
And break. You think so?
Of course. Think about. I mean, I can't think of any specific nation because I don't want to fucking be like that nation would just be like quit because you could be like, haha, France.
Oh, real quickly, Danger and Little Dabs chime in with France.
But like, yeah, so like.
All right.
That's what I'm saying,
Are you kidding me? Really? Those cheese-eating surrender monkeys have the strongest military in Western France. Those Han wee wee.
Weenie Hut admin, thanks for the follow.
Weenie Hut admin, thank you for doing your part. You gotta write that down in the book.
But you see what I mean, though? I'll write it down. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, I was gonna say like, haha, France, weak army, surrender. But like, and then it's like, no, they have the strongest military over there.
Well,
apparently,
today, evidently. Look, Weenie Hut admin, you see, when Monoxus has days where there are incentives for people to subscribe and throw channel points at him, he will do things ranging from push-ups to more push-ups, to crunches, to squats. One time he did 30 minutes of jumping jacks in one evening, spread out, and his calves were on fire for 3 days afterwards.
Never again.
So, the point is...
Not never again jumping jacks, never again 30 minutes of jumping jacks.
So you earned yourself 5 jumping jacks, mister, courtesy of Monoxus. Can you hold it up to the...
No, I'm not holding it.
Come on.
No.
Let him see.
No.
All right.
I have it written down. I have the because I had to take a break from things due to a minor injury, so you know about that.
That's right.
Sometime in the near future, I will be back to doing that.
Deal. All right.
Point is, what were you saying? So yeah, so there are going to be countries, and again, I don't want to just call, like, I mean, like, name a fucking, like, you think Madagascar has a really fucking powerful army?
Picking on Madagascar.
I'm just saying, they're not a large nation.
All right,
Do you
all right.
think they could hold their own
Oh
against?
yeah, but then
you know?
look at countries in the Middle East like Oman.
Right.
Like,
so my point
they're-
is, there are going to be places where
How
it's
do
just
you
gonna be
even-
like, nah.
But how do you even take over a country like Yemen, which has been in a low key civil war, like since like 2011?
You squat up on
No,
them.
no, since Gaddafi died. But the point is,
You
like,
take
yeah,
them over, and that's it. You know.
don't pull a hammy. Godspeed. Good luck, Sweeney Hut admin.
You get-
Gracias
you
por
get my
tu
point.
consideración y tu presencia aquí hoy noche. If you're just tuning in now, here at twitch.tv/Minoxis, we more or less covered current events, right?
Yeah, we talked about Israel and ended up talking about if countries 1v1 each other for supremacy.
Although it should be noted that now, I mean, if you're just tuning in, it's
Camera!
strange. It's strange how Israel was one of the few things that was just not allowed to be criticized or even discussed openly. The second you mention it, suddenly there are 17 pairs of eyes and people who are going to like mass report and flag and accuse you of being an ist who harbors an ism and possibly a phobia. But now, when framed through the lens of an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, Palestine has its like weird day in the sun.
Kinda, yeah.
Which was unprecedented to me. But what do I know?
And it'll be done in a week.
I give it 2 weeks tops.
We're technically in the first week, so would the next week count as 2 weeks or 2 weeks from now?
What day did this start?
I don't fucking know.
Don't talk about anything Father Bezos would disapprove of. Kool-Aid or buen provecho.
What doesn't Bezos like? What does Bezos approve of though?
Bezos approves of the unending suffering of humanity.
So he's in on this.
So come on, Bezos, cut us a check. Come on.
Seriously.
So
Anyway, well,
one thing. Okay, so I mean, time zones is just something I'd like to discuss.
I mean, if you want to go into time zones first, I'm okay with that.
We could just brush it out the way if you don't mind.
Sure.
So look, now I've been very fortunate to have shithead internet friends from various corners of the earth. All right, but one thing that has always been usually in the back of my mind, and when speaking to them, the front of my mind is like, oh, like the time it is here in Eastern Standard Time, and what the fuck is that new standard? What do they call it now? EGT, EDT.
I'm sorry. Is there a new time that I'm unaware of?
People don't call it Standard Time anymore. It's not. There's like a new set of letters.
Like where we are. You mean?
Across telling fucking time.
Oh, I don't know.
I see it every time, like we're on Love's stream at blank PM, but it's not EST. Like it's just like it's. Come on, someone in chat help us out. I know you've seen it too. GMT. There you go. That's like I don't. It's obscene to me. So in relation to that, all right. Yes, but it was like, why did we have to change, like, Western Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, Central Standard Time? That's just like, come on, why are we? The point is,
I have no idea.
it was necessary to keep that in the front and the back of my mind because there are jerks that range from like Texas to Japan to Singapore, or like AADH, who's all the way out in 12 hours in the future in Indonesia. So it's something that it's easy to take for granted how the immediacy and the interconnectedness of like technology.
Yeah.
And you must admit that like the most insidious technologies are the ones that kind of like blend and fade into the background that you don't even make visual contact with.
Yeah.
But they're in your life.
The ones that are constantly like monitoring you.
Right.
Keeping tabs on you.
Right. And
like every time my phone listens to me and I talk about a product and then I have ads for that product. It's happened more than once, so at this point it's not a coincidence.
there's no such thing as a coincidence in this life, by the way.
But yeah, shady background technology.
But
like I'm pretty sure as far as like these crypto things are going, like there are companies that have people's like devices crypto mining for them and they don't even notice they don't even notice that it's happening.
Gotta be happening.
That's a thing. Yeah,
so
install my program, and then like your computer is now like mining.
So in spite of all this, all right, It's wild. Like for example, like on Salty Bet. Hell, even in Gang Garrison, it was like just nuts to see like the different people that would be on at different hours of the day, just by virtue of different like time zones, and every once in a while, like within from the hours of like Friday afternoon to like Sunday afternoon, late afternoon,
The old weekend.
sometimes evening, the old weekend, like you would have many more people from outside the U.S. like flooding servers in Gang Garrison. So
Wow.
now, before you know it, you're fighting jerks from like Europe and Asia and Latin America.
I always get Brazilians.
Really, there were a couple
Nowadays,
of.
yeah.
Favela Pro was a guy who was really good with Scout and Gang Garrison. That's a different story.
I don't know what the
Nails
connection
was a
to
guy
that
from
is.
Russia. He was like lethal with Soldier. The point is, time zones I always like because like every time you play a multiplayer game, like unless there's like hello from Russia, like unless you got something immediate, you have no idea where the fuck these people are from.
Yeah.
Unless it's like in their handle name or whatever.
Or the game has like flags sometimes.
Yes.
And lets you know.
Right. Like
I
if you're
mean-
playing Tekken Online, like oh great, this guy's from South Korea.
I mean, I don't really care much for that in games. I mean, I hate when I'm playing with people and I'm in a North American server and the servers are close to where I am.
Yeah.
So I'm playing I'm playing in a time zone in a server for a country that I'm from, and then somehow I end up with people from other countries, and it's like, how'd this happen? And they're speaking languages I don't understand, and it's like, how am I supposed to communicate with you? Why are you on this server? But that's more video games, not so much
Right.
time zones.
Well, that is the pitfalls of public servers
Well, yeah, not being forced into a server that you
vid-
belong in.
in video games.
Video games. As far as time zones go, like I have a few people that I keep in touch with that are in different time zones. It's always weird, like reaching out to my brother. He lives in a different time zone, and I always forget that he's in a different time zone.
Mhm.
So like he's a few hours out of the way, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like it's fucking, like it's super early for you,
Right.
or like it's just
It's even on a place like Twitter, it's always fascinating to see how like the afternoon. It's almost like you're seeing. How do I put this? Not variations on a theme, but like 3 p.m. Like all the jerks on Eastern Standard Time are like more or less like declining on like the thing that happened today,
Yeah.
and then like people in the Midwest, and then starting in the West Coast are like the thing that happened today, and you kind of see this like rolling discourse once in a while because of like the passage of time and time zones.
sure.
It's not yet peak hour for Midwest people, and once it is, you'll see that kind of posting.
Although it is nice to have a social media feed with some varying difference in people from different time zones.
This is true.
Because then you have a constant like you're always getting information or memes or hot takes or just information in general from people because of that spread. So that's fun.
This is true.
But like I said, personally, I don't really spend much time on the internet in that sense, so it doesn't really affect me.
Real quickly, Darizal. When the Brits invented time, that's why they set as hour zero. Danger goes, they did have an empire which his son never set on. There goes, keyword is had. Talk about fumbling. Hey, let's talk about the UK. Once ran a third of the world, now ran by the third world. Hi-yo!
Yeah,
Listen,
they kind of slipped with the whole "Let America Happen" thing.
I don't under.
I'm just saying.
It's not my country. Who am I to judge?
I'm not judging. I'm just saying y'all fucked up when you let us leave. This happening was a problem.
It was all downhill from there.
Kind of.
You could have had us in your country and turned like the United States of England, and it's just England beating up everyone and starting forever wars. Like
Just had to play nice.
you totally could have just kept us on board. You know what happened? It's like when the Red Sox gave up Babe Ruth and they were cursed for 100 years.
Oh, they got rid of him. Yeah.
Oh, there are no more. There's no more herpidoo going on in the back.
Get out of Times Square, you jerks. They probably just went across the street, to be fair.
I am really fond of the American flag, though. Kind of funny. I was like directly above your fucking head.
Did you see how the whole area got gated off, dude?
Yeah, and now right, and if I'm seeing that correctly, are those police people on a perimeter outside
Yeah, no, they're
across the street from the flag? They fucked up by having shit dick soldiers lose a war against the mega chads of their time.
Kinda.
I think it's really funny how up until then, like, war was this like marching band with like the Brits are wearing red in the middle of fucking winter. The Americans are all like, "Is it cheating if I'm behind the rock?" And it's like 20,000 of them, not counting the Continental Army. Is it cheating if I'm like behind the tree and I just shoot them while they walk by? But there's like 20 of them. Like, yeah, it's America. That's we Viet Conged the British, and then we got Viet Conged by the actual Viet Cong.
Yeah, we did.
Although there were some, actual conflict on battlefields, but like,
I mean, the whole Vietnam thing is always funny to me.
hey,
but...
hey! Washington crossed the Delaware River on Christmas morning to murder the British in their sleep because
Allegedly.
America,
Allegedly. We don't know if those stories are true.
I mean, we won, and by we I mean like, what the fucking horse do I have in this race?
Yeah.
I talk on behalf of America from now on. We're going to the moon. We're going back.
Well, that's what all Americans think. But at the same time, look at what was happening in the background. People.
Hey, China, you're fired. We're not paying you back.
Oh, never. And anyone who thinks otherwise is an idiot. Why would we? We have no reason to do so.
Oh, hold on. That's Australia, you silly goose. I'm sorry we sent all our prisoners here. Then we Hey! Australians were kicked out. No, Australians were kicked out. We were kicked out, but but I mean, no, they made us, and then like everything else, like Johnny Five, like it went sentient, then it went rogue. All right, so you're not wrong.
I would argue it was sentient beforehand, but sure, it did definitely go rogue.
I mean, I mean, why are we being ruled by something that far when we've got things over here?
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was colonial script, but that's a whole different story. That's a.
The only real negative impact at the end of the day was we were trying to fight for our freedoms and to get away from all of the overcharging and the overreaching hand, and now we have our own overreaching hand. We need a new America.
We need
America Part 2.
Texas.
Yeah, I mean, not like Texas used to. Now, if you look at Texas, there's a lot of people going from coastal cities, and
that's true.
They're abandoning their so-called beloved coastal cities that are so great with all their politics and how they lean towards things, and they're caring about people, and they're flooding down to Texas to make that a shit place to live.
Shit, you're right. I mean,
Texas is kind of fucked. Wyoming, Arizona, that kind of general area.
However, like even not 17, he's in Idaho.
Yeah.
And even over there, you see people from California making their way there, and I mean, it's almost. First, it was gentrification, and now it's like exodus. What the fuck is plural for exodus?
I would assume exodus is its own plural.
Exodus.
I could be wrong. But if I had to assume, I would assume exodus is it's the singular, plural, whatever you want to. Because, like...
Exodus, exodi?
I don't know if you have an exodus of one. An exodus, I assume, means multiple. I don't think there is a single exodus.
Well, I mean, no, there is no single exit. Well, I mean, there's...
So technically, it's plural inherently, right?
Okay. Before this, there's been a pricing exodus in every city, slowly trickling people out across Merca.
Sure.
But now,
Mr. Mystic Shorts.
Mr. Mystic Shorts, buenas noches, como está, caballero? He's going to be listening to us while pumping iron. And instead of listening to, like, death metal or Mr. Bungle, specifically their third album, because it's all jaunty and upbeat, and he's going to hit a stride when doing curls, he's choosing to listen to us. So thank you, Mr. Mystic Shorts.
That's cool. But I was going to say, like, the whole, they can only gentrify those cities so much before their own gentrification brings in even richer people to continue the gentrification.
Right.
And now even the original, like, somewhat wealthy people are outpriced by the moderately wealthy people, and then the upper, like, class wealthy people, like, outprice them, and now, like, you're trickling somewhere else.
Oh, right. I mean, because
there's, like, waves of it, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's fascinating how
So now they're going to fucking Texas.
Places like Williamsburg ended up becoming, like, where like, couples want to raise a kid.
Yeah.
Because it's so the trip from Manhattan is like worst case scenario, like what, 20-25 minutes by the L train?
Yeah, something like
that. All right. And on top of that, it's safe because of money, because a lot of money really. And part of the reason it's safe is because everyone else has been priced out. So it went from starving artists and then trust fund kids who look like the starving artists, and then like bankers and young people who want to start families, and then like Williamsburg was there's like a there are like pockets of Williamsburg where it's like you retired early and you did the arts and now you just like loaf around,
Yeah.
and then like eventually, more bankers are going to show up and then robots. All right. Because if anyone is going to be outpricing people who like make killings in like private investing boutiques and private lendings, I'm not just talking about Goldman Sachs and the waves of insufferable jerk-offs who come to places like New York City and they're like, I work in finance. No, you need robots to outclass those
So what
dudes.
you're saying is the end of gentrification will be crypto mining robots that are sentient.
Yes.
Crypto trading robots.
Yes.
Androids. They look human.
Oh, so they just like they just maintain servers mining things all day?
Or they just trade all day. With like precision, you know what I mean? Like perfect trades.
It takes
constantly.
the end of gentrification will yield synths that mine crypto who could finally punch above high frequency trading.
Yes. We're talking about they are so efficient that even the best and brightest humans cannot keep up with their constant like shuffling of coin, like to a single percent of just like, nope, I'm constantly no and profits and profits and profits.
I would like to imagine a synth just like using an abacus for reference, just like real for like a teeny tiny.
I imagine I imagine something of that style, just like stopping for a moment and just like, it's like, what happened? I just made $1 million.
Listen,
Like what? Yep.
he could be doing
6.
all of this on Binance on his phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if that's what we're talking about.
Exodus is a trend. No one does it in one trip. Then the city dies. Robots are going to be the new elites. Hey, listen, crypto mining synths are going to be the new elites and put gentrification to an end. Because who's going to outprice them? Martians?
Even richer robots. I don't know.
The landowning gentry bots.
The robots that made those robots were making money off of them.
Skynet? No, they just blow it all up.
I mean, I can do that infinitely. You know what I mean? The robot who made the robot who made the robot who made the robot who made the robot.
Eventually, Chinese robots are going to be outpricing like American robots and buying things in cash.
Yeah.
Little dabs go. Didn't a lot of rich foreign people buying properties in on the coast? Oh yeah, that's been happening for some time. I would go so far as to say that like
recently there's been a trend of from what I understand, the Midwest is being purchased up by a lot of like Chinese investors, much like what they did with Australia.
There's a documentary, I forget its name, but it was about the Chinese buying out and now owning and operating this like this company that ran like a farm and a distribution network for dairy and whatever. And like it sort of shows how like number one, like like they have like it was a very fair, even-handed portrayal of like, all right, these are working class people who've been here since forever.
Yeah.
And now there's like and on one hand the Chinese are trying to make nice, but they really don't care about any of these people or anything there. And it's sad because like some of the
nice in a business standpoint, from a business standpoint.
Yes.
But you're also dealing with people that don't really look at their people.
I gotta look this up.
Like
There's a documentary about this, and it's sad because you basically have a first person view of like, oh hey, like the company's making money and
American
like
factory, is that what you're talking about?
I believe it is, Dare. I believe it is. So please excuse my ignorance. It was a factory. It wasn't like a production dairy thing. All right. The point is, it is an excellent documentary. You see, all right. Once upon a time, before Michael Moore started to look like a old fat lesbian, he made documentaries, and one of them was Life with Roger, and he worked at like one of the plants in like Flint, Michigan. And like Detroit used to be like a powerhouse of like industry and manufacturing.
Yeah.
And then much like well, I forget what the Rust Belt was called before it got called the Rust Belt, but it's part of the Rust Belt now. So Detroit ground up to a halt, and in the 80s they were like, oh, we could just have plants in like Latin America and like China and whatever. Bye. So Life with Roger. Hey, is Roger. And he used to work at the plant in Flint, and now it got outsourced to China. So now everyone in the town either works for like McDonald's or Walmart, and it's one of the most crushing fucking things ever.
Yeah, remember that time that this country kept fighting for the rights of people and trying to like fight for equality and justice, so that we're all on the same like playing field, but then China was like, nah.
Here's money.
So companies are like, wait, we don't have to. I'm sorry, what? It's like, no, it's whatever you want. What if someone dies there? Yeah, whatever. What if they get sick? Money, right? Make money, make product. Also, let's be fair here. They also have a system of, is the product high quality? No. You can make shit products and let people die there, and we'll pay them horrible wages.
Oh, and one last thing about time zones. As Monoxis is describing China strip mining other parts of the world, like, and wallowing in their own crapulence of being able to do it, there are people, like, let's say China's presence in Africa. Pick an African country, Monoxis.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Does it count, I think, South Africa?
Okay, so there are Chinese people in South Africa whose interests are nothing but either making money or China or both. And to some degree, they've assimilated into South Africa.
Sure, but aren't most people's interest in making money and their home?
Oh, but how come there's a Chinatown everywhere in the world, but not like a Little Italy everywhere in the world? How come there's no like Little Greece everywhere in the world?
Because Greeks and Italians fight with people. We got all mouthy, start swinging.
How come there's no little? Oh, okay, fine. How come there's no little?
I'm just
Actually,
saying, in those specific examples.
actually, you could make that excuse for almost like how come there's no like how come there's no little Guatemala everywhere? Because like they fight. How come there's no little?
I already told you, my homie from China was like the only thing that he's seen them do with tourists. Because I was like, yeah, you go to fucking Little Italy, even over here, and you give somebody shit, you're gonna like. I mean, unless they're just like some fucking kid who works there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not gonna. But someone from the country is gonna, or even someone who's raised with that idea, like they're gonna fucking throw like shade back at you. They're gonna mouth off on you, and you push your luck, they're gonna hate you. He was like, nah, they'll just make fun of you. If they realize you can't like understand them, they'll just talk mad shit.
Ah, okay.
Like, you've had an experience in Chinatown here with those fucking dumpling ladies, where you've walked in, and the second you walk in, they see you, and they just start saying shit, and you're like,
listen,
and you're trying to talk to them.
There's a place.
I don't know if that's a cultural thing, but maybe it is.
Listen, I have to give credit where credit is due.
Play nice,
right?
and then yeah.
I have to give credit where credit is due. There is a dumpling place. They sell dumplings and pork buns. All right. It is if you walk down Mott Street right before you get to Wohop. You turn right, and there's a side street, and it's sloping down, and at the end of the slope, pun not intended.
There was no pun until you drew attention to it. There was no pun.
There's a park at the end of the slope. So
you intentionally turned a no pun. You said no pun intended, by doing so you made it a pun. You realize that
that pun was intended.
I'm just saying, like that was.
Oh, but I mean, listen. Listen.
That was done with full intent.
Are there just a lot of like Asian people laying down, and at the end of it there's a park? No, there's a slope because it goes downhill, and at the end of the slope there's a park.
Until you brought attention to the word slope, I'm sure anyone listening would have just assumed you meant the slope leading down.
So is the neighborhood park slope just like a giant Korean dude named Park? Like, no, come on. What are you trying to get at here, Monoxis?
My point is there was no pun, and no pun intended made it a pun. Which meant you intended to.
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about.
Alright, I'm drawing attention to that.
Detective Monoxis is on the case.
Just saying.
In the near future, America businesses will have all anti-suicide nets like in China. Little dabs, you're not wrong.
Is that China or Japan?
That's China.
Is it China?
Yes.
China has the anti-suicide nets?
The people who work at Foxconn, the people who manufacture the iPhones, they're notorious for not wanting to do that anymore and jump.
I think we have one spot that does have the anti-suicide nets already.
Really?
But it's not like a business kind of thing.
I'd like to believe it's like a Walmart.
No, it's the fucking. I think it's
Amazon?
like it's that stupid honeycomb statue at the Hudson Yards.
Oh yeah.
Because they basically made I think it's like 5 or 6 story. It's a 5 or 6 story art structure. You can look it up, like Hudson Yards, like honeycomb, or whatever it's fucking called. Right. And it's just like it looks like it's a tower of stairs that goes up 6 stories, and then has an open air edge to look over the Hudson Yards. And I guess people just started tossing themselves off of it. I don't understand why that became it. And I think after like 5 or 6, they were like, nope. Put up safety stuff because like we're tired of people like we're tired of having a busy shopping center full of like people, and we're having like dance play, and there's people dancing, and there's shows going on, and there's kids running around, and it's beautiful, and it's for rich people, and then like
now we got nets like in Foxconn.
I was there in December prior to what's it called, when the first one happened, because I was working at the Hudson Yards, and the very first one happened near Christmas. I actually want to bet because of that.
Really?
Yep, because when me and a couple people first started working there, I was like, how long until we have someone die here? And they were like, how do you mean? I was like, I don't know, like someone gets like stabbed or shot or whatever. And then I was like, I think it's gonna be in December. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because around December people like get all fucked up because of the holidays and they kill themselves, and someone's gonna jump off of the tower.
Mm.
And then like December, like early December, I think it was, like someone jumped, and I was like, $50. My homie almost won because he was like, someone's gonna get shot in a robbery, and then they tried to rob a liquor store in the mall, but no one got shot, so he almost won.
Ooh, but almost don't count in bets.
Yep. But yeah, $50.
So, Danger goes, I remember a documentary about the Chinese making cheap honey made out of rice, selling it as honey to some other Asian country. Not surprised. Hell, like you could find this picture of like a guy ordered like a punching bag, like a personal home punching bag, like a heavy bag, and like it was filled with like garbage. Not like punching bag material, just garbage.
Aren't they usually filled with like some kind of sand?
Yes, but it was just filled with garbage.
Wow. Like noticeably filled with garbage?
Like no, it was
like lumpy.
It looked like the bedding of a landfill, just fucking garbage. You could barely make out like wrappers and bones and things like that. It's kind of gross.
I mean, if it was recyclable material, I wouldn't be mad. But if it's actually just garbage,
no, you could just type in Chinese heavy bag.
I'll look into it because I was thinking about buying a heavy bag. So
I
gotta make sure I don't get that one.
Get made in America, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, please.
So
I try my best if I can to buy American when possible, because I support my country.
Here at twitch.tv/Monoxus, we support Made in America, and if you don't, we'd like to hear why you hate Jesus.
Don't be wrong though. Some things just end up being cost effective, and I'm like, fuck it, I need the cheap version. I need it immediately, and that's when Chinese comes in handy. It's quick and does the job, and it doesn't cost a lot.
You heard it here first, folks. Monoxus no Haiti Chinese.
No. As long as you make me my cheap, low quality, fast thing that I need.
No ticky, no laundry.
Anyway, time zones, that's a...
Oh yes, one last thing about time zones. So
I got nothing else on time zones.
So in South Africa, all right?
Right, because I chose South Africa.
Yes, so in South Africa, there are people calling dudes in China, and for all you know, it might be like 3 a.m. for them, but like they have to be up because they have to give they're rearranging their life to cater to the logistics and communication needs for someone possibly halfway around the world.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of keeping that in motion at all costs. So, I truly believe that is a characteristic that you don't often see in other countries.
Okay.
Stop and think how many people in how many cities all across the world, including the United States, that there are people in a Chinatown. Maybe because there are Chinese outside Chinatowns. I mean, correlation doesn't necessarily imply causation.
Fair.
But like making money and wiring shit back in China is like this D account, right?
Well, if you look at the U.S. in that case, so I think a good portion of the U.S. isn't dealing with that. But if you look at places like New York City is 100% dealing with that. There's no doubt about it. There are people doing the exact same shit here.
Right.
Maybe Florida. Florida's got some pretty decent business centers, and a lot of companies, like at least money making companies, not like manufacturing or anything, just businesses in general, that economically friendly companies, I want to say.
Right.
Or unfriendly, move their shit to like Miami during the COVID nonsense from New York. So I'm sure they have it now too. They didn't have it before. California. As much as they like to pretend that they're all nice and hip and friendly, no, they've got a bunch of shady businessmen living there too because it's a wealthy city.
And let it be known,
wealthy cities.
And let it be known that, like in California, all right, it seems to be like a really strange testing ground, like an R&D lab for bad decisions and policy to be passed to the rest of the country. Like, did you know that in California, it's no longer a felony to not disclose your HIV status and infect someone?
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of this.
In California, you ever notice on the side of every pack of cigarette, it says, according to the Attorney General of California,
yes,
tobacco it has been linked to cancer, So it's almost as if like it is not only an R&D for bad ideas to be implemented, but like it is actively being used.
Yes, I'm still watching Earth Cam.
Come on, Earth Cam, get with the times.
Come on, you. I was gonna I mean, like, did you know that during the COVID pandemic, while places were struggling to try and reopen schools so kids could get back to, doing their thing, California was busy making sure that stores did not have gendered sections for children.
Really?
Like, you cannot have boys or girls in, like, the toy store or in the children's clothing department. They were like, get rid of gendered children's things. Instead of reopening the schools for kids, they were worried about, I don't know, a kid walking into an aisle, like a little boy walking into the girls' toys, and I guess feeling inadequate and uncomfortable with the fact that he likes girls' toys, because the 5-year-old's going to make that kind of distinction.
Right.
And go like, wait, this is for girls? And then run away. Not that the kid's not going to just fucking play with the toy because they're a small child.
But yeah.
Don't put them back in school. But now, like, listen,
California, get it together. Come on.
We could go off about California. It's pretty easy at this point. It's not just, it's no longer shooting fish in a barrel. It's like the barrel is empty. It's just like there's no water in the barrel.
However,
it's just dying fish, and you're fucking taking shots at them. You know what I mean?
Spitting on them.
Listen, there's nothing left to defend. It's getting worse.
I sometimes wonder to what degree California, because I think California has like the 5th largest, or I forget, economy in the United States. The point is, like, if California secedes, I think it is self-sustaining enough, much like Texas. However, to me, California, like, it's silly because it has a lot of RPG world map biomes because there's so much more to California than just Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego.
Here's the thing, though, because I don't want to go on about California. We do it too much. It happens often enough.
Give Cali to Poseidon, ladies and jerks.
California, in a seceding from the country situation, there are a couple of things that I think would play out.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget that a large percentage of California, even though they have a great economy, that economy falls in the hands of a select few. It's not like the economy is doing well and everyone's got money. They also have one of the largest homeless populations in the fucking country. So all this money and your population of people are having a horrible existence. So those wealthy folks, like, oh, we're going to abandon and become our own thing. All right. So you're gonna sell what industry does California have other than like now their marijuana and their Hollywood elites, art and drugs,
depression.
You can't sell your homeless. You can't fix that, and no one's gonna want to like leave the U.S.
Oh, homelessness. Oh man,
slaves maybe, I don't know, but like my point is there's not. If they secede,
the Republic of Skid Row would like to have a word with you.
It would be a very, very different situation there with the kind of people who have the money. It's not gonna like fix anything. There's still gonna be a shithole, and a lot of places don't want to deal with California in general, so they're gonna be or with no way to defend themselves.
A real hero goes, you can enslave the homeless.
That's like the best case scenario for them, I guess.
Danger chimed in with seasonal effectiveness disorder. That reminds me of the fact that all of China is one time zone. I think that's related to that.
It's also probably, I don't know if that's bullshit or not, but
I would like to figure that out because I know like Russia's like 11 time zones, right?
I mean, if they have one time zone, it's because China has one time zone, and it's like, but you don't. We do. Same time. Work on the same time.
Chinese time?
Come on, like you don't think
Chinese Standard Time?
You don't think they would do that?
I'm a little hey, CCP, cut Monoxis a check. He's coming up with some good ideas for you. Chinese Standard Time. Get up on it.
Pre-World War II, there was a movement in Northern Cali to create a new state, but World War II killed the idea.
Was it the state of Jefferson?
I could see Cali splitting up. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
And that would be a shit show too. But either way, we talked about the seceding thing, where I was like, if Cali separated and no one absorbed it, they would just become victim of the Mexican cartels.
This is true.
With no way to defend themselves and a population of people who are down on their luck and not being helped. If there were no other countries willing to help them, they'd probably fall victim to that. At least the southern end. The northern end could easily work its way into the Washington area and use their money to stay, protected. Point is, I don't talk about fucking California. Fuck California, alright?
Deal.
Any major city in the U.S. can go fuck itself, ours included. Fuck off with that shit. They're terrible. They're not good. They're not good.
Go heart your own city, all right? A real hero goes, I need to get out of the Pacific Northwest before this balkanization begins. Don't want to be stuck in this miserable area.
No, it's not. I mean, your best case scenario, if you want to live
It's Rambo every day of the week
a
where he
fulfilling
lives.
and happy life, is to move to the Midwest somewhere and just pray like a natural disaster doesn't take you out. It's just a better way of living.
The very fact that people are willing to live in a place called Tornado Alley is like proof of the American enduring, spirit to press on.
Oh yeah.
Like, to hell with you, Mother Nature. I'm going to build a house in Tornado Alley.
As long as you got some insurance, you might be okay. Don't
Hey,
get caught in the tornado.
But really, though, Chinese Standard Time, that's an excellent idea.
It's not an excellent idea. It's a terrible idea. It shouldn't be a thing.
Why aren't... Come on, CCP. Cut him a check. Cut him a wire. Stuff a paper bag full of bills and throw it through his window.
Is that an American or Chinese dongs?
That's an American dongs.
Okay, as long as it's an American.
Danger chimes in with, the time zone should just be on the east China, but they extended it reasonably to the west for unity and helping the east, I guess. Oh no, they're just doing it so they could be like China #1 because they're not, but they're really hung up on that and they're aiming for 2049.
What? You see that real human?
If you see an avocado in this alley, you will meet the devil.
Huh?
That's amazing. A real hero chimes in with, Tornado Alley makes me think of this place in Mexico City called Avocado Alley. Apparently, if you see an avocado in this alley, you will meet the devil.
That makes no fucking sense.
That is amazing.
That's a weird urban legend.
I would now
Time zones should be based on the time zone. I agree.
Listen, Dare, you're not making a lot of sense here with these avocado mancers who are now pulling in things from the 9 layers of hell.
Tell that to
right?
the Chinese government who doesn't believe in much of anything. Well, I'm not wrong.
I'm really...
There's no faith-based systems there except faith in the government.
Ooh.
That's the one thing they have faith in.
I'm really impressed by how thin-skinned China is in going so far as to censor any criticism of it anywhere online, not only wherever they could find it, but
Look at Look at the world we live in. When you draw attention to something, people notice now and they get upset for 2 weeks.
A kid compared him to Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And no more Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Is
that China or is that Xi?
I believe that might be...
I understand that he represents China, but does that say more about China's thin skin?
I don't think you're allowed to post Winnie the Pooh in China.
Right, but that's because of Xi having thin skin.
Oh, China having thin skin,
but
because Xi is the face of China.
He's the face of China, yes. But it's not China's fault that Xi can't take minor criticisms. If you went at him hard, he'd have to defend himself. But that's talking about their economy and how people get treated and the state of the air.
Mm-hmm.
But he's never gonna address those in a way that isn't negative. He's just always gonna downplay them.
All right.
But comparing him to Winnie the Pooh, that's very thin-skinned. That's come on. Someone made a joke at your expense and you were like, ban it forever! But it's kind of like how Russia does the whole, we have never gay.
Oh, well, I mean, to varying, but here lies a very, very tricky.
And to be fair, we also had a orange man for 4 years that basically, if anyone kind of embodies the whole, slipping on every fucking, bait hook that comes your way, Orange Man was really, really bad with that shit.
But the standards with which every countries apply... for example, I have never gay, no more Winnie the Pooh. You see, it's okay when they do it. Kind of look at, number 4 on that bloated list you want. Look at the Uyghurs in China. Yeah. It's okay when they do it.
But that's because they're communists and they have dictators. They have presidents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a president. They have presidents.
There goes, but Orange Man was fun. Yeah.
I'm not saying he wasn't fun. I'm just saying...
Danger, can you elaborate on Remember Band in China? After that, any reference to South Park was erased in any Chinese internet forum. Really? Well, I'm not surprised.
Well, because South Park doesn't give a fuck. South Park's been trying to get themselves canceled forever, and if it takes that, don't be surprised when there's a special about Israel eventually.
Oh, there has to be at this point.
Because they have to bring it up.
That is what gets South Park canceled.
No, South Park is untouchable.
No. What did they do an Epstein episode?
They did a Prophet Muhammad episode and didn't get destroyed. They did an anti-China episode and didn't get destroyed. Like, how many things do they have to go after?
Oh, but the Prophet Muhammad one was like so long ago.
It doesn't matter though.
You're
the point
right,
is
though.
like
You're right.
if the Prophet Muhammad was on the table for South Park and they survived that,
But you have to dig to watch that though, and that was
Doesn't
like
matter.
1990. This is pre 9/11.
the point is like if that's on the table,
you win this round, South Park.
they can go after anybody. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna take an intermission. Hold on.
Yeah, they're untouchable. It's. I was actually having this conversation the other day. You know what? I'm gonna keep my position just because where the chat box is. No, I was having this conversation the other day with some people when we were having dinner. South Park has reached a point where they want to get rid of themselves, but because of how hard they've gone, they have created a situation where no amount of harmful episode, nothing is off the table.
I'm gonna use the restroom. We'll be right back.
In fact, the only thing I can think of that South Park could potentially do to generally get themselves canceled, they'd have to go after the people. No, they'd have to go after the people who run Comedy Central.
Oh no, they'd have to invoke them by name.
Yes, that's what I mean. They'd have to like dox Comedy Central people and like actually have dirt on them and put that dirt on like an entire season built around doxing and fucking burning the people who pay their checks.
They'd have to lawyer up for the rest of their lives though.
Yeah, but if they want to really get canceled, that's how they fucking do it.
More than that.
Because if they don't go after the people who cut their checks, there's no way they're ever going to get canceled. So anyway, what the hell else does this man want to talk about today? Time zones, fashion, online dating, and vegetables. Avocado Alley. There are no avocado trees in this alley or close to an alley. This alley is also more like a nice back street, not really an alley. I mean, that still doesn't really help with the whole why seeing an avocado in the alley provokes the devil. I don't understand that. I mean, I'll look into it. Their 2015 election season was pretty embarrassing. I haven't watched since. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, I don't. It doesn't make any sense, but I guess it is a very weird legend. But I guess you could probably make that up for anything. Like, if you see a banana in this alley in the middle of the city, like, you'll run. Because it's like a bait. Someone's gonna try and fucking rob you. Also, Mr. Mystic George, as far as the South Park thing, they picked it up pretty well. I mean, they definitely spent a lot of time on that season. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing, but they transitioned to, like, Randy being the main character, and that's been pretty interesting. I like they did that, but they don't care anymore, so why the fuck would they? They have nothing left to lose, and they're just gonna have as much fun as they can until they can get their proper contract rights so that their show can't be sold to someone else, and the profits made from re-airing it basically forever. Because let's face it, that show is now in the same group as, like, Seinfeld and, like, The Simpsons. It's even once the show actually officially stops, whoever owns the rights to it gets to air that show for fucking God knows how long, and just continue to, like, make money off of it, just going back to the beginning and cycling through all of South Park over and over and over again. And Matt and Trey want their fair cut, which they're probably never going to get, to be fair. I don't think Comedy Central is ever going to back down on that shit and give them the proper contract and the proper amount of money. They have no reason to. They have them by the balls. Those guys are going to have to just surrender the rights to the show at the end of the day, because no one cares about it.
Well, they're able to get away with one episode a year now, right? Like,
I think they still have to do. They have a contract. I don't know what the contract says, but from what I understand, the contract has them for X amount more seasons and episodes or whatever. And I think at this point they're slowly milking out, because they're trying to just not make the show, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's actually been confirmed or not. But Comedy Central basically has the right that the second they end the show, as of now, without getting canceled, like if Matt and Trey walk away, I'm pretty sure Comedy Central owns the show and all of its earnings, if not a majority of the earnings. Like, they get a very small cut. I imagine similarly to what happened to Chappelle,
right.
like they're gonna get fucked on their own show. So if they get canceled, that breaks the contract.
Real.
Something like that.
Okay.
So because if Comedy Central cancels them, that nullifies it. But why would Comedy Central cancel them? Because every time they try to get canceled, they make themselves more popular again. The harder they try, the more they dig themselves into the ground with, like, because that's what people want.
Although it's sort of like
People like when South Park gets fucking edgy and goes hard. You know what I mean? It's entertaining.
it reminds me of how Stone Cold Steve Austin was the first heel that was so popular. He transcended heel and face. It's just like because he was a badass and like, oh no, he's giving Vince McMahon the stunner, like,
Yeah.
and like there was a period when they became unstoppable, and now it's like, not to be crude, but like an artist caught in the canvas of the creation they've breathed into life,
Sure.
like, which is
I mean, maybe it's just me because I can't, like, I don't know what it's like to have that kind of creation. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that show will be that's their legacy because they've done other stuff, but South Park is what they're going to be remembered for most. And I don't know how much money they stand to lose. I don't know if it's just like the creative aspect of it, like they don't want to lose the thing that they made,
That's right.
so that the history books say that it's a Comedy Central property, not a Matt and Trey thing. I don't know if that's the case. But for me, if I had the kind of money they do and I just wanted out, I can't imagine they're going to have a hard life if they abandon the show.
Oh no, that's far beyond the question at this point.
Yeah, so unless they're doing it, unless this is like an integrity and like we're not walking away from our creation, that I understand. So if they're just holding their ground, I get it. Because if they walk, you know the team that they built to create the show, because it's not just them. And they make those episodes quick because they have to do it with current events.
Yes.
Matt and Trey walk, they lose the voices. That's basically all they lose. The show can be made, voices can be changed, and Comedy Central would probably push to keep South Park on the air without them. Would the show decline? Probably, depending on who takes over.
Yeah.
Because like they have no problem, like they have no fucks. They will go above and beyond. But imagine, like, look at the fucking trend of television shows on Comedy Central now. Like, look at the people who have had shows and then who took over for them, and how the stances changed, how the brand of comedy changed. Like Jon Stewart leaving The Daily Show, and look at where The Daily Show is now.
Well, I mean, Jon Stewart was kind of a preachy prick, but you're right. Towards the end, he became really like insufferable. But you're right.
Sure.
Where like after his departure,
But it's still a different show.
that
With like Colbert and now what is it, Trevor Noah? I think.
yes.
Like they try and fill the void, much like Chappelle leaving, and they try to do Key and Peele to keep like the black demographic watching a comedy show. But like Key and Peele could never do. I mean, I still think they have some funny sketches, but they could never do what Chappelle was doing because Chappelle had balls.
Well,
The same way Matt and Trey have balls.
I mean, Chappelle Show to this day, it's still setting precedent.
Right. I mean, even Jon Stewart would have had no problem, and insufferable as he may have been, depending on like what he's talking about. Again, a person who had a pair of balls on them and didn't have a problem going after certain topics and talking about certain things. And the shows that followed, although trying to keep up with what he was doing, the second Comedy Central gets the rights to your show, they're like, we're going to water it down and make it more of a Comedy Central friendly version of itself,
Right.
and take away the edge that you gave it, the
Oh,
bite.
kind of like when you see Simpsons reruns and they're either cut for time or this is too risque to talk about now.
Or even New Simpsons. You know what I mean? The creative team has changed so much that the original humor and bite and what the show was in time evolves. The reason why South Park still holds up is because you still have the creators standing behind it.
This is true.
You know, like how this became like a South Park rant. But whatever. It's definitely something to. So when those two, if they don't get the show canceled or get to walk away with their creation, can you imagine seasons of South Park that just don't have the same voice cast, that don't have the same writing team, they don't have the same minds behind it? That'd be wild.
But people would still watch it, and
Of
it'll
course.
still make them money.
Yeah, people will watch it for seasons before going, wow, this has declined. And then some people from that will continue to watch it, and if it keeps getting views, it'll keep circulating, and it'll gain a new fan base. And whatever the humor style that they shift to, much like how Trevor Noah is able to continue the trend of The Daily Show,
Oh, so
or whatever it was called.
You mean the show will become a parody of itself, and so will its audience, like Doctor Who?
Yes, it's exactly that. Doctor Who's another good example of a show that eventually flipped and was like, well, now we're doing it the other way, so that the people who were like, so the real fans can shift away. But as we've slowly, like, we put a little bit of this into the show, and we got a couple of fans for it, and we put a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and now we're going whole ham the thing that the original fan base doesn't like because the new fan base does like it, and it'll still make money. Merchandise will still sell, reruns will still bring people back, you know what I mean? Things like that. And I think that's where they ended up. Anyway, I think enough about South Park.
Ladies and jerks, I would like to discuss very quickly fashion. All right.
Fashion?
So, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So now
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I can.
No. It's just a quick story. And listen, fashion like memes, we can. I mean, I have a lot of opinions about this. I just wanted to. This is the point I'm trying to make. All right.
Sure.
So, once upon a time, this was maybe like 3 years ago. No, 4. What was it? 27.
You gotta speak up, Ains. You're a little far away.
All right, so I'm speaking up. So I was on a date 3 years ago, and I was I got ready late, and I rushed to see her. I wasn't late, but like stupid me, I had a black belt with brown shoes on. All right.
How dare you?
And I remember not realizing this until I had already like halfway into the meal. And I bring this up, and she goes, "Oh, like you could do anything with fashion now. Like if it looks good, it looks good."
That's true.
So I mean, and like let's be honest, like you've told me this before. Like, have you seen how people dress out there? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I don't consider myself any kind of fashionable. I think I know what to wear on my own body. You know, I think I know how to dress appropriately. Here's what I'm gonna do, just so I can keep the volume on you. I'll get a little closer to you. We'll move this here. Right.
Sorry to harass you.
Major faux pas, Haynes. Yeah, because he wore fucking brown and like, no, you don't do that. But alright, camera, let's focus back in. Get on me. Anyway, I mean, I forgot I was talking to someone recently about this, the idea of like how to dress oneself, because I was like, I don't wear shorts, I don't wear sweatpants, I don't wear track pants. Like I don't wear those things because I don't think they look good on me. I think I know how to dress myself in a way that fits my body. But I've also said before, have you seen how some of these fucking people out here dress? Because especially in New York, like I don't know how many people are in major cities that watch this stream, but people don't know what the fuck they're wearing.
I remember a brief phase in the 2013, 2014, 2015. Suddenly, women were wearing the I stopped trying giant pants, especially to work, and you'd see them on the train. And suddenly, women were keen on wearing like unisex things like overalls and like, hey, I'm wearing the oversized T-shirt, and it's like, you don't, why?
Yeah.
You know, because what works for one person can kill someone else in 2 weeks and vice versa. And this also works for fashion.
You know, it was a fucking weird trend that I don't know. I mean, I understand how it got picked up because I believe this is all rooted in. All of this has to do with the internet. A lot of these things come back to the fact that the internet exists, social media exists, and people are able to get information way too quickly. And it's kind of like marketing at 10,000%. So the trend of people buying like Supreme shirts, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a fucking t-shirt with a stupid fucking logo of the company. It just says the name, and it costs like 10 times more than a fucking t-shirt should cost. And the only reason to wear it is to go, look, I have it.
Well, it's conspicuous consumption.
So there's a trend of that. Now I know
Right.
plenty of people, like I don't shop at expensive stores.
Mm-hmm.
I will sometimes poke into places where I know they have nicer stuff when I'm looking for something nicer.
Right.
But for the most part, I know like my pants are gonna get worn down and destroyed, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on them. I'm gonna end up ripping them. I'm gonna end up wearing them outside. I
Right.
don't like monitor them. They're gonna get dirty. Like shit happens. You know what I mean? I spill things. Why am I gonna buy these higher end stuff? And like the ones I do have that are nice, like I barely fucking wear them.
Right.
They're just in a drawer waiting for a special occasion, much like dress shirts that I own, where I'm like, just don't fucking touch it because you'll ruin it.
Until further notice.
Yeah, so like I wear a
Right.
bunch it's like fucking cheap fucking $20-$30 t-shirts. Oh shit, what's up? Basement. He says Crocs, man. Shit used to be taboo and people are customizing them. Right? Those things look like shit.
That's right, Basement. What's good, homie?
What he mentioned though, I was gonna say, like I wear mostly running shoes and like Skechers. Because I'm either exercising or I want to wear something comfortable. Skechers they're not fashionable. I don't think anyone would ever say that Skechers are like an in look.
Right.
But my god, they're fucking comfy.
You know, one fashion trend that has always evaded my understanding, and I'm surprised how it turned into like such a thing. Sweatpants, specifically like the fuckboy sweatpants.
I hate sweatpants. They look so fucking stupid.
Mm.
I don't understand the wearing of like baggy sweats. You know what I hate even worse? The fucking sweatpants that are tight fit look like fucking capris with your ankle showing. Like my god, just wear skinny jeans.
The fuckboy sweatpants is a bewildering fashion statement that is, and you know, I remember in like 2009, 2010, eventually, like,
Give up on life pants, says Basement. Pretty much.
bro,
I stopped trying, so I'm gonna wear a thing that I can slide on and off.
I like that one Simpsons.
But it's the same thing as track pants, unless you're wearing like higher end ones. But I think just to clarify, because I think that needs to be said. There's a distinction though between like I'm wearing janky sweatpants that I got from whatever fucking Gap versus
Models.
whatever, yeah. And like let's say you're using them for the intended purpose of like fitness, exercise clothing. Okay, that's different. That's a whole different story because like that's using the utility of the clothing for what it was meant for. But then you have sweatpants made by a company that makes high-end clothing, where it's really just regular clothing. Sometimes they make actual nice stuff, like different thread types and materials. But here are some sweatpants that still look like give up on your life sweatpants, but they've got a logo on them, and now they cost 10 times more, much like the Supreme shirt. So when people buy that dumb shit, I will give them the exception of like, I understand why you're wearing it. I don't support why you're wearing it, but I understand how you've been manipulated into like, I have to buy them because they have the fucking logo on them, and like now when someone sees it, they're like, oh, you got that thing. It's like when people buy fucking expensive ass basketball shoes, which are intended to be used to play basketball in, and then they like protect them with their life with like plastic wrap and cleaning them and like maintaining them. And it's like those are sportswear.
There's a really, really funny Key and Peele sketch of like two guys with the brim,
The hats,
the flat brim hats,
and eventually they end up in the case.
That's it.
Exactly that. Exactly that. If you're a collector, that's a whole different story. I understand. Wearable fashion that costs way too much, you have to protect it. Unless you're like fucking.
Yeah, to quote Sinatra, "Hands off the suit, creep."
Unless you're fucking like what's his name? Like some Patrick Bateman, like fucking what's it called? American Psycho. Unless you're like that kind of person, that kind of money, that kind of lifestyle, why the fuck do you care and why do you own these kind of high-end expensive pieces of clothing?
Right. Why would you notice what other people are wearing to such a degree too?
Yeah, unless you have a feed of things on your phone or your computer where it's like, oh, you got targeted advertised by like a company and like, look, new shirt, look, new shirt, look, new shirt. And you see it, you're like, oh my god, look, new shirt. Look, new shirt. Meanwhile, because Dare had mentioned, Mask Time?
Yeah.
Was saying that you don't have to talk about it, but 9,999,000 of 10,000 graphic T-shirts made suck major ass, and people dressing about like people do be dressing like absolute shit nowadays, especially at airports. But like, if I wanted like the shit that I wear, this fucking like dumb printed shirt with Rugrats garbage on it. I would rather wear some cheap shit like this, knowing that I'm not gonna be like concerned when it gets like ruined. And if someone sees this and notices what I'm wearing and they're like, oh, that's cool, we have more in common than if someone were to be like, oh, shit, those are those expensive ass shirts, right? And it's like, is that the surface of like where you, like, your you know what I mean?
Is this some esoteric graphic tee you thought was like, right, there's an immediate jump to
Your
Like-
understanding of the world of fashion is based on how much it's valued at, and not how good it looks or how comfortable it is.
Yes.
Which, that trend in fashion blows my fucking mind. But, much like Basement bringing up Crocs, they look like shit, but my god, apparently they're comfortable. I've never worn them. But much like me wearing Skechers, like, I get it. They don't look
they're
good.
quite comfortable.
They're very comfortable. I wear them regularly. Because they do what they're supposed to, you know?
Can I trouble you for some water?
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. So no.
Yes, I'm still watching you, piece of shit.
There's never dead air, ladies and jerks. You see, because we here at 718 TV headquarters, here live at twitch.tv/Monoxus, are bringing you the best public access television in the 21st century. All right. So you hear that? That's the sound of freedom, and I'm gonna be drinking my freedom.
Well, since we brought up fashion, do we want to talk about potential for shirts in the future?
Oh well, one thing I'd like to discuss is like, all right,
Because, like, we recently discussed making shirts.
this is true.
Or do we want to save that for when we have more of a product?
Oh, well, one thing I would like to opine on, just one thing, is integrating cameraman somehow. Because, like, cameraman, like, listen, like, if he wants to whore himself out and just show up in, like, soda commercials in Japan, he totally can. I'm not going to hold it against him. I just hope he's not, like, hair splitting and losing stress and aging and having to be on the phone with lawyers 24/7. But outside of his exploits,
Well, I mean, when we get the when we do actually have a set, these are the designs that we're going to work with, and we have the screens ready. When we do, we should probably. Here's how I would get him involved, because he likes to wear the shirts. He's a big fan of those. We get him to wear the shirts, and he can be the how these websites always have like a model wearing the shirt. Or I mean, sometimes they just have the shirt. But, like, we can have cameraman model the shirts.
yes,
Like, here's a generic version of it, and like cameraman wearing it.
that is yes.
And cameraman can be the I don't know, the dummy that wears the shirts. And
He will be the paper doll.
Yes. On the online adverts.
That is.
Show it off. Show how they look when they're done. Finished products.
If you're not using it, you're losing it. All right, so that more than settles like my opining. Then yes,
Right. But yeah. So I mean,
cameraman is going to do his part.
we can also have him make some of the shirts. He doesn't get to just sit around all day.
AFDH, gracias por tu presencia aquí hoy noche. Chiming in with cameraman as a small window in the bottom of the screen doing interpretive dance and other shenanigans. Like, he's going to be reading the phone book, all right? But you don't have subtitles, and we don't know how long this is going to go on. But at one point, he's going to be on an exercise bike doing a crossword puzzle, and half of them are wrong.
Man, he doesn't fucking exercise.
Yeah, Tubbleard over here. I mean, he just doesn't do... I mean, look at all these calls and emails and text messages that he's getting where it's like, cameraman...
Mr. Mystic Shorts redeemed hydrate.
Cameraman is ignoring calls from people who want him.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mystic Shorts. On their paper towels, their tampons, their chocolate cookies, their conditioner, their detergent, their concrete, their Semtex. Everyone wants to put a piece of cameraman on something. And he ain't just picking up the phone. Because all he's doing is eating Hostess fruit pies and just like guzzling Yoo-hoo and just reading old copies of Nintendo Power and playing Super Nintendo games.
We gotta get into the track soon.
We gotta figure out what his problem is first.
Yeah, we know what his problem is.
No, I have an idea. I don't want to just want to be a mean jerk.
Let's not. I mean, let's leave him out of this, all right?
So,
He hasn't returned to form yet.
or you put him on Queen Celebrity Watch somewhere. Like, I mean, listen, you want to be live on twitch.tv/Monoxus?
Get him to Times
Go to
Square.
Times Square. You might meet cameraman.
Yeah. Yeah, he does need to pull his weight around here.
That's right.
And he does. He helps a little bit.
There goes camera. Tons of fun, man. Needs to get off his... Tons. Listen, on a scale from 1 to Lardass, he's like a 7.5.
He's got. I mean, I don't know about that. Lardass. We're talking like Lardass is 10.
I mean, Lardass is more than... Yes.
I mean, 7. That's. Look, I don't like that he gained the weight, but he can walk and he can still run. All right. He's got a fucking belly now because he's eating too many. I don't know what the fuck he's
Well,
eating.
this guy.
I don't know. I just imagine Lardass is like obesity.
He shows back up, and thankfully he left us his gear. But
He's
you
still
know,
never fucking here.
listen.
Whatever. Enough resin, cameraman. Got anything else to say about fashion?
So, just really quickly about fashion. The body positivity movement has somehow turned belly shirts into a right instead of a privilege. And
hold on, you can't just stop at belly shirts. That movement turned clothing into a right. Because there is more than just fucking belly shirts.
yeah. Okay, listen. Like,
remember
it's not
when
just
like looking good actually just determined what you get to wear?
It's not just belly shirts. I mean, it's like
skinny pants, tight pants.
It's everything.
It's thongs. It's tight-fitting boxers.
There is a difference between
slim fit dress shirts
and a curve.
Hold on, look. I'm also.
There's a difference.
Like, here's the thing, because whenever this comes up, it's always specifically targeted at women, because that's what it always fucking like.
Hey, listen, because there's no male equivalent of a BBW. There's no like large, strong, handsome men, and he's just like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Right. But evidently,
dudes also, because of the fucking body positivity movement, have earned themselves the right to walk outside in like basketball shorts and fucking flip flops in a wife beater with that shit hanging out, and it's just like, you're also still fucking gross, bro.
What if that's the norm in other parts of the world?
It's normal. It's just the norm everywhere. Apparently, we're all just gonna be okay with it.
I think there's nothing we can do about it.
And you can razz him a little bit. You know what's really subtle?
Sir?
No, just walk by and then like, don't say anything. It's like,
Minox is walking around with a mask giving people the stink eye when they're waddling.
Well, hold on. The dad bod is not the BBW equivalent, because the dad bod is the fucking like, you got a gut, but you're not like obese. Yeah.
No, a dad bod is where the having to commit himself to either family or family and career, which is most likely.
Yeah.
He has neglected
fitness.
He has neglected upkeep, especially when a child is young. You never sleep as a parent because like the kid could wake up at any moment. So that like the dad bod is more just like you've given up part of your physical health to raise a family, as opposed to a BBW, which is just like
you let yourself go.
I'm not the one with the problem. You have the problem, and like with the high waist clothing and the worst is when they get tattoos, but they have to get it on their like forearm or their ankles, so it doesn't look like a stretched out amoeba's asshole when it's on their arm or their legs
or if they decide
or their back.
If they decide to lose weight, it'll become a fucking shrunk mess. Because then you gotta really
like it was inflicted by a head shrinker.
All I'm saying is that we have to make sure that if we have to attack the fat acceptance community for their poor health decisions and their inability to take care of themselves, and the fact that they want us all to just ignore that they're going to die of one of the 6 major leading causes of death that are caused by obesity, we have to stop talking about big women specifically and start going after the big men and all the big people who are in the middle too. None of you are safe. All right?
No, nein, niet, ochi. No.
None of you get to wear skinny jeans and short cropped shirts. All right? None of them get to take their shirts off at the beach. It's for the children. Because then they'll think it's okay.
Listen.
Do you want children growing up thinking it's okay to have a horrible body and then dying young? Don't do that. Also, you wonder why our fucking medical expenses and why we can't get Medicare in this country and affordable. Because 70% of the population needs to go to the doctor every 3 months to make sure they're not fucking dying of a disorder.
Well,
they can't take care of themselves for long enough to fucking... Don't start with the fat people hands. Alright? Fucking...
Among the body positivity
fix
movements,
your shit.
You know, we're not here to say that fat people are inherently evil, but
no,
why do they cause such harm almost everywhere they go as a statistic?
No, it's
on an individual level.
It's the fat acceptance people that piss me off.
On an individual level, yes. I know 3 fat dudes, and they're some of the best people in the world, but they just happen to be fat dudes. As a statistic, they're weighing us down, proverbially in the most literal sense of the term. Sorry, do you have to hear this from me?
Stop fucking them, the problem will solve itself. Or even being, yeah, but the problem is that men can't stop fucking them, they offer themselves to us. How can you deal with that shit, though?
Now, hang on.
Like, I don't mind, like, chubby girls, but, like, there's a massive difference. I've said this, the whole, like, thick ends where fat begins, you know what I mean? Curvy ends where fat begins.
So
there's a line you can cross, and that's where it's like, nah.
So Abe the Itch chimes in with Dad Bod, the working man's buddy. Now, hang on. Al Bundy was in ridiculous shape for a guy who worked in a fucking shoe store. And maybe it's a case of orthorexia nervosa. Might be. Might be. These days, you never know for sure.
A fat girl messaged me telling me she had no gag reflex. I was tempted, fellas. I was tempted. She was like a legit BBW. Look, here's the thing, and let me clarify this again.
Because she's too busy. Just like she doesn't eat like a pig because pigs chew. She eats like a duck. Just like she tilts her head back and just like.
And every time
jams things down her food hole. No gag reflex. It's because like those Hostess fruit pies go unchewed. They're just like.
It's because she's destroyed her gag reflex like a person with bulimia. Except in the other way.
Reverse bulimia?
Well, like, no, bulimia, you ruin your gag reflex by, like, throwing up constantly and forcing it. You're ruining it by not having one, by, like, constantly triggering it by shoving
the Hostess...
Hold on, I have to clarify.
Hostess fruit pie reverse bulimia?
Because every time this comes up, I have to, like, there's a distinction between the hatred for the body positivity movement and not the idea of big being beautiful. If you're into fat chicks or fat dudes, more power to you. And if you're a fat person and you feel like you look good, more power to you. But the second it becomes about health and me having to look at you, that one's a little more personal, but mostly health, there is no discussion. There is no health at any size. And there is no acceptance of the body being sick. So no, because if you're allowed to be fat and obese and be like, I'm healthy and I'm fine, then I'm allowed to not get the fucking Wu flu vaccine and say I'm fine. And you don't get to criticize me. See what I'm saying?
Well, on an individual level, this works near perfectly. But, like,
I'm putting it out there.
How much time you got so you could win the public one by one?
Well, I don't want to win the public over. And here's the best part about having to win over fatties. I won't have to. I will outlast them. Unless some horrible thing happens.
They'll kill you long-term by making your tax dollars keep them alive while they have the diabetes, and they pick up their sugar pill medicine while just, like, drinking Dr. Pepper and driving down I-95, blasting, I don't know, is there fat metal? I'd like to know.
And here's my fridge where I keep all my genetics. Those people?
Fat metal. There's gotta be, right?
Fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
Cause fault practice. Oh, basement.
You know what talking about?
All the practice.
You know what talking about fat people is a good segue for? Vegetables.
Alright. So this I'd wanted to discuss because Monoxis is a personal trainer. So there are vegetables that you could be eating, vegetables that you should be eating, whether you're active or not.
Do you want a list of them?
I'd like to hear them.
All of them. Problem solved. I mean, just for starters, like all of them. Eat all of them. Unless you have like a thing where you can't eat them, you know. If you're like me and like someone puts Brussels sprouts in front of you and you're like, I know that they're fine, and then you put them in your mouth and you're like, these taste horrible. They don't taste good. I have everything against peas. I don't like peas. Peas taste funny to me. I think it's a taste bud thing. Because if they're in stuff, kind of like beans. I'm not a big fan of beans either. But I don't know where they fall on the vegetable scale because they're kind of
they're
legumes.
They're legumes.
Yeah.
They're.
But I don't know where peas fall either, because I think they're from a plant. So I don't know if it's a legume or a vegetable.
No, peas are a vegetable.
Okay. Point is, peas, much like beans, which vegetables, peas, beans. I'm getting there. There are certain ones that I just can't stand the taste of by themselves.
Okay.
Which, as an American, is weird because I know like them gravy beans. Like if you put that shit in front of me, I'm hard pass. I don't want it. But like beans in something, amazing. Peas in a dish, fantastic.
Well, like
Brussels sprouts
for example,
fantastic.
like beans in a burrito, that's a tough act to follow.
Fat metal. I'm glad that's gonna catch on.
The heaviest band in the world weighs half a ton. Fat metal. Yo, it's like Venom's black metal, but it's fat metal.
I prefer growing my own food as opposed to buying them because you grow taster varieties. That's true. I don't have room to. Here, I'm considering converting my ceiling into like growing space and then just getting like sun lamps so I can grow my own stuff.
So this guy's gonna be playing Terraria IRL. Look at
Yeah,
this guy.
but like from the ceiling, which the people who whoever the owners of these apartments are gonna hate me when I fucking move out because there's just gonna be holes in the walls for all the shit I've mounted and holes in the ceiling for all the things I've mounted. It's gonna be a mess. These walls have been stabbed so much.
You know, the ceilings have been long overdue for some stabbing too.
Yeah, the ceilings have nothing hanging from it except for the old green screen mount. So like, you know, but I wanna grow my own vegetables in the room. I just don't have the space. I'd love to have a garden. Like I want to grow a couple of different herbs, tomatoes. Like I know people who hate tomatoes. I don't understand.
Basil is easy to grow, isn't it?
Very. So garlic's very easy to grow. Most herbs are fairly easy to grow. They're temperature sensitive, from what I understand. That's the hard part. But if you're growing them inside with artificial lamps, and you're not a jerk off who turns the air conditioner to like 50 degrees every night in the summer, I'm sure your plants will be fine. Plus, maybe the heat lamps, heat rises, whatever, that whole nonsense. Just don't fucking freeze them. But I'd love to grow tomatoes. I don't understand the
tomatoes.
Yeah, they're amazing. Some
All
a
right.
little bit of salt.
718 TV Farming Edition. We're going to be playing Harvest Moon IRL.
I want to buy some.
Now, you see the acidity of the soil is around a 4.7.
I want to buy some high-end hot peppers, you know, from the guys who make the Carolina Reapers from that farm.
Why is there like a bus caravan?
Because it's Times Square and the buses get stuck in traffic, dude.
All right.
Those are just buses in Times Square. The real question is, where did all the protesters go? I was hoping for a brawl.
I was hoping for some more shenanigans to happen over in you know, we are lucky, you know, we did discuss this in current events, but like now, of all time, to me, the discussion of Israel and Palestine was sort of like the steamed hams bit from 30 Stories of Springfield, that episode from The Simpsons. It was like, so suddenly, now it's on the table to discuss this, like at this time of day, at this time of year, localized entirely within this kitchen.
Yeah.
And, you know, Monoxis had said earlier, like, you know, a week ago, these people would have called me anti-Semitic for posting, like, Free Palestine memes or, like, you know, Israel memes. And now, like, he ends up getting the keys to the city.
I have people, like, give me, like, looks when I make, like, Jewish-related jokes. And now I guess it'll be okay to, like, attack Israel. But, I mean, just since we're circling back, I do want to continue on vegetable talk in general.
Yes.
But, like, I said it when we were off camera, and I kind of think it bears repeating. Suddenly deciding to have a conversation about Israel and Palestine and the conflict going on is like a woman or a man being in an abusive relationship, proposing to their partner who abuses them, getting married, buying a house, having 2 kids, and then somewhere along that second kid's like cycle, so we're talking about like we're looking at 20 years of a relationship, you know, and the abuse hasn't stopped at all. It's just like the partner is still abusing them, but now they have a home and they're married and they have kids and they're sending one off to like college, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? We gotta talk about the whole abuse thing.
We got to talk about this black eye.
We're long overdue. You've been beating me for 20 fucking years. Like, now? I thought we just agreed to not talk about this. I thought we all just collect, like, no one got, like, and their friends didn't get involved, but all of a sudden there's an intervention and it's like, all right, it's time to talk about you abusing, like, person X. And it's like, we all have just said nothing for God knows how long. Now?
What's fascinating is that during the Third Intifada, journalists couldn't get into places like Gaza or the West Bank. They couldn't get on the ground. And there were people on Twitter for the first time, kind of like in Ferguson, journalists couldn't get in there. So now, like, anyone who was there before this dead air overhead thing was allowed, it's like, oh, I'm on Twitter. Hey, what's going on? I'm here live.
Yeah.
There were people on Twitter, like, live in Palestine, where it was like, hey, if I stop tweeting, it's because of this. And in front of them is like 5.5 buildings that are leveled.
But yeah.
True story.
Anyway, vegetables.
You win this round.
Anyway, we covered it.
So,
But But yes,
Some-
all of them. Eat all of them.
Some veggies I'm quite partial to, although it usually depends on how it's served. I would like to say, though, that in whatever it is that you're consuming, like peppers and onions is a tough act to follow, whether you're putting it on like rice with like some sort of protein.
Oh, yeah.
Peppers and onions, you don't even have to cook them, put it in a salad.
I mean, we can make a vegetable tier list if you really, really wanted to. Although, I'm going to admit, I am incredibly biased.
Are olives a vegetable? Yes, right?
I mean, I at this point, I don't know what, because like, I think things like tomatoes and peppers are classified as fruit. So,
But olives have to be a vegetable, don't they? Mushrooms and onions are an unstoppable combo. Ooh, very true. That's right. I forgot the name of the French dish that you need like cream and mushrooms and onions and chicken Francesque. What is it? No, chicken Marcel. That's what it is. Oh,
yeah, Marcel's with the mushrooms.
That's
So, like, I mean, here's a bunch of them. Here's like a full list, apparently. I kind of want to just scroll and see if it gets, like, if peppers is on this or if tomatoes on this because of the whole, like, peppers are up.
there. It is.
Oh, no, pepper. There you go. I guess it's still classified. I mean, I don't know how the classification works. As I've understood, it's always been like a seed-related thing.
So olive though, like, well, olives have pits, don't they?
Yes. I mean, olives are not on this list. So,
Well,
I
what?
don't know.
Okay, who is the authority of this list? What's going on here?
I don't know who gets to make the.
What is
fucking-
this propaganda?
All right, this is vegetables.
Why don't you just look up olive?
Because I want to see how it's classified. If these lists don't cover it, I
Hey.
can't imagine that it is.
Hey, Googlepedia will give you the classification.
Yeah, but like, I mean, there
Googlepedia.
are full lists here. I don't think they are though. There you go. They're actually fruits,
Whoa!
according to this first link.
That's bullshit, but I believe it.
I mean, there's a couple, like tomato being a fruit. I mean, for the sake of argument, we can just talk about olives in the combination.
Intelligence is knowing tomato is a fruit, and
How-
wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
We can use vegetables as a jumping off point for plant-based food byproducts. Like
This is
nuts they're not vegetables, but if you want to have a conversation and throw olives in there, like me personally, if you want to talk about like ranking fucking veggies and shit like that, a lot of vegetables for me end up in the S tier, just inherently because I think they're amazing. But I also feel like vegetables kind of fit like
So,
if we're talking like S, A, B, C, D, right? I'm not going to put an F tier. There's no such thing as a vegetable that's just like so bad you don't eat it, in my opinion.
really,
Because I hate I understand if you're a picky eater. If you're a picky eater or you have a certain kind of palate, then yes, you don't enjoy foods. But to say that anything is just so bad that it's inedible is bullshit because somebody eats that food. Your personal tier list and the fucking world's tastes. Like, there are people out there who love yucca. You know what I mean? Love that shit. And people compare it to other root vegetables.
if you fry it with garlic and onion and just put a teeny
and
tiny
so the
amount-
dairy shilling begins again.
You want to know why? Because we have to stick it to those vegans at every chance we get. One of these days, AFDH, we are going to be consuming cheeseburgers on stream just so we could stick it to all the people who are like, animal rights now, even though they're talking about chickens who don't have a wife and kid and they're not putting in shifts in factories or in offices. And they somehow try to equate the lives of these animals as to like sentient beings who are paying taxes and commuting to and from work. Makes no sense.
Well, here's the thing. So Dare Line's like, then shit gets put on your list. People are eating shit. We're talking about food products, and specifically vegetables. Dare. Good try, though. But if I want to make a list of all things that people consume and put in their mouths, I gotta put things like thumbtacks, glass, sand, you know what I mean? Like, bugs. Like, yeah, we can make a full edible, everything eaten by humans ever on the human meat. Like, what is it? Semen. Like, you know, like, and then rank the flavor of it. No, we're talking about vegetables, alright? Vegetables in general. And my point
Alright.
is, actual food items. Things intended to be eaten,
Mm-hmm.
and arguably things that are processed and made to be eaten. Technically, there really isn't something that, like, I don't like the flavor of licorice. People love licorice. If I were like, licorice is F tier,
Both red licorice and black licorice? Or just...
I prefer red, but I'm not a fan of either.
Okay.
I again would not put an F tier for food because F basically says this is not edible. It is terrible. Do not eat this. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not good.
Okay. So
You know what I mean?
so for the most part, most veggies are S tier.
A lot of them,
What?
like broccoli, broccoli to me is one of the greatest fucking vegetables ever. It's super generic flavor wise. You don't get a whole lot from it, but it's easy to cook. And whatever you put on it, like the combinations for it are simple and delicious, and it just fits into so many dishes.
But you don't get a lot from it.
I mean, calorically, you don't get a lot from many vegetables. Broccoli's got a good amount of protein in it for a veggie.
Really?
Yeah, based on how like for calories versus yeah. I mean, granted, if you want high end calorie food, like for protein, you need to eat like meat and dairy products. But you know, legumes help a lot.
Kale is F tier.
Kale is not F
Kale
tier.
is good baked crispy with salt and olive oil. S tier spinach.
I don't think kale is F tier.
Ooh, spinach.
I don't agree with the weird trend that kale is this like amazing tasting food. It's good.
Listen, spanakopita, that you can't have spanakopita without spinach.
Spinach ends up in F tier for me as well. We're gonna count mushrooms, even though they're a fungus. In the argument of we're putting other things in the vegetable
is
group.
true.
Like I think mushrooms are S tier.
Peppers.
S tier. Especially considering the variety of peppers. Like
Onions.
It's S tier.
Garlic. Garlic is S tier. Like let's be honest here.
Avocado, S tier.
All right.
Corn, S tier.
Olives.
S tier.
Okay, and not just for olive oil. All right.
No, there's like so a lot of these things for me are like no, these are amazing, and they go with
Squash.
so much. Just like regular squash. We're not. Are we gonna combine all squashes?
No. Okay, the kind of squashes that like if you were to cook up like zucchini, eggplant, and squash.
Okay.
That kind of squash.
Okay. A.
All right. Eggplant.
A.
Zucchini.
A.
Ooh, birds of a feather.
They're all pretty good, but they're not as good as my S's. Like, if you were like, hey, do you want the olive tempanade or the eggplant tempanade? I'd like that olive.
Do you discriminate in terms of pepper where there's like, of course, like green, red, or yellow and orange? Do you have a particular favorite?
Like bell pepper?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never taken the time to properly assess the different flavors. I don't imagine there's a huge difference.
Okay.
Although someone with a way more refined palate could probably like tell you the difference. I prefer hot peppers.
The small green ones?
Just hot peppers in general. I like my peppers to have kick to them. If I'm gonna put them in a meal.
All right.
With the exception of like Mediterranean style salads, which I think the combination of like red onion, olives, mixed peppers with feta, like you could take all of the salad part, like the lettuce bits, and just give me a bowl of like onions, peppers, feta, and pitted olives, and I could just eat that.
Facts.
Like that
I could
shit's
totally
delicious.
eat that. Oh, by the way, pumpkin gotta be S? Yes. Listen, pumpkin is so OP, you can make pie with it.
Well, here's the thing with pumpkin, and I won't argue the S tier for it because even though I'm not favorable towards pumpkin,
You could make soup with it. It's wild.
The
Calabaza.
beauty of pumpkin is that it has that sweetness to it. But have you ever just eaten like baked pumpkin?
No.
So I would recommend trying just baked pumpkin because pumpkin carries a lot of dishes forward, but pumpkin by itself is kind of okay.
Okay.
But like pumpkin pie, pretty fucking good.
Oh, kind of like red and green herb combined. It makes
Yeah.
great, but separately,
It's
it's
kinda
like, eh.
I know a lot of people really love things like what I guess are considered soup or stew vegetables, like carrots, celery.
Right.
What's the fucking like some people, I don't know. What's another good fucking like turnip? You know, they're very bland flavored, but like for some people they're their favorites.
Do you fuck with beets?
Yes, I think beets belong in S tier.
Really?
As far as like root vegetables go, like beets and potato are kind of unstoppable.
All right. Okay. What is the nutritional value of potatoes?
From what I mean, they're mostly just carbohydrates. They're a good filler food. I don't remember the vitamin. and
Does it
mineral
have
mix.
any meaningful substance beyond just like filled?
Are we talking about like health wise?
Yes.
Substitute your potato for something else.
Hmm.
Eat like well, a lot of people use the color spectrum for vegetables.
Oh, so eat cheese.
Yes, eat cheese.
Okay.
Drink milk. Eat cheese.
Lift weights.
Yes, in general, those are all good things to do. And don't
You heard it here first.
Don't
at
drink-
twitch.tv/Monoxus. It's the self-improvement dairy farming stream.
Don't drink the milk or eat the cheese of things that don't naturally produce milk.
All right, listen. There's no such thing as a soy tit, so there's no soy milk.
It's
In
soy
reality, it's soy juice.
Soy juice,
But you
I'll
can't.
accept.
But you can't sell soy juice to people, so they got to sell it as soy milk.
I don't understand why we can't just call it like nut juice. I would be so much more favorable to like almond juice,
Nut juice.
cashew juice,
Right, but evidently, okay. Now here's the thing.
squeezed almond juice.
I get it. Like it's not oat
It's meant
milk.
to substitute
Okay, no,
milk.
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand,
yeah.
but it's not milk.
I get that it is not oat milk. However, horchata is a delicious
Yeah.
beverage that everyone must try at least once in their
It's
lifetime.
fantastic.
It's
But yeah,
it even won Hank Hill over.
as far as
Right.
the veggies, like which ones you should eat, is if you need a generalized
Tomatoes.
recommendation, S.
Because
There-
of the sauce.
Very few veggies for me are like low, and I've already said peas end up in my D tier, my personal D tier, as just like eat them by themselves. But peas in dishes are pretty fucking good. They mix well with stuff.
peas and carrots.
So I would be willing to say
that is an
like,
unstoppable combination.
so long as you put it up with something else, it hits like the B tier.
do
But it can't carry its own meal for me.
do peas have nutritional value?
Of course, I mean all like veggies have a nutritional value. The thing with vegetables is that they're usually low calorie, which is why you can lose weight by eating just like vegan style diet. If you're actually adhering to it from like a vegetable standpoint,
Huh.
because you can eat a vegan diet and eat nothing but like cheese and bread
This is true.
and get fat. But
You could be a vegan but just drink vodka and eat Takis all day.
yeah, pretty much. It's the same way people are like, you can't gain mass because you can't get enough protein from eating just like vegan food. Like, no, you could eat rice and beans, and there are veggies that
If
have
memory serves you
a
correctly,
pretty high protein content.
Oreos are vegan friendly as well.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure most junk food is vegan.
A of the H chimes in with somewhere out there is a vegan on a quest to find and create the soy tit. Yeah, check this out. Like somewhere out there, vegan quest. All right. So when this vegan ends up making a soy tit in a laboratory as an affront to God, it's gonna end up being like in Dogma. If the angels pass through the gates, they prove God wrong, and it's a hard reset. So if a child is reared with a soy tit, that thing should not be, and something really horrible is going to happen.
A genetically
So-
engineered person that
so
has
then-
soy in their memories.
A of the H is going to remind us that even with the greatest of intentions come the worst people that history will provide us from time to time. For you see, this vegan will become a compassionate and a kind messianic figure that just plays the self-deprecating card like Woody Allen,
Sure.
He's just like, neurotic and likes to sleep with little girls. So,
Doesn't everyone?
so then this guy...
Wait, that's normal now, right?
Well, listen. Hey, real quickly, like, you don't have to have money, but if you do have money, like,
Oh, it helps.
exploit women of all color, because Epstein only exploited white women, and that's perpetuating white supremacy. All right?
Is that true though?
Yes.
Really?
I know.
Can we confirm that to be true?
Vegan Hitler.
I mean,
Hey!
like,
Hitler was a vegetarian, all right? So, no, I believe he was a vegetarian or a vegan. No, he was a vegetarian. So, Hitler didn't smoke, and he was a vegetarian. So, do your part and fight fascism, all right? Eat meat and smoke.
man, that's such a whack comparison.
I know, but still.
I hate how people propped up Hitler as this ultimate evil. He was
It's
kind
not-
of a cuck.
He just...
I'm just saying, he was.
So this vegan ends up rearing a child that is
know what?
nurtured on the soy tit, and it ends up spitting in the face of God and everything that has come into existence. And
I bet I could beat Hitler in a fist fight.
I think anyone can really.
That's
He
what I'm
was
saying.
kind of small.
He was kind of a bitch.
Hey, A of the H. That's a concept album right there. A vegan who resets the world by rearing a child with the fucking soy tit. And it even just like looks like it's just a tit made out of soy, but with like human nipple, It's just fucking like a child suckling on it.
Although, if you could technically,
And then everything blinks out of mathematical existence.
if you could
and that's
engineer a
it.
human being
And then there's
to-
nothing but
to
darkness.
produce soy milk, as it were, it would then actually be soy milk.
I would do the crossover thrash concept album version of this, but I don't have a drummer or a bass player.
Hold on, though. So if you could modify a human to produce soy milk, it then becomes actual milk and becomes an animal byproduct and therefore can no longer be drank. Right?
I believe so.
So technically, by turning soy milk into tit milk of any variety, doesn't matter where it comes from, you're ruining the soy milk. It is no longer friendly to be drank by people who don't partake in animal products.
You're ruining the living thing that is ingesting it.
Well, that's a different... We're not talking about the actual, like, moral repercussions here. I'm talking about finding a way to make soy milk actually milk, and then by proxy of making it come from an animal or a living thing, it is now no longer vegan friendly because the soy milk came from an animal. You know what I mean? The only reason why it's even friendly to those groups is because it doesn't come from a living thing.
Aha.
So,
Although it should be noted, like, soybeans do grow naturally. I mean, but but what is it about soybeans that, when consumed or created and consumed in this chain,
yes.
what is it about it that makes it so harmful to us?
What do you mean harmful?
Well, I mean, soy is synonymous with, like, turning men into not men.
You mean because it's estrogenic?
Yes.
Yeah, so is beer.
But is soy naturally estrogenic?
I don't know. Although here's the thing.
Because, like, animals feed off of soy crops in the wild.
Well, yeah.
Like, that's...
From what I understand, because I've heard this, the bro science that goes behind, like, yo, don't drink beer, don't eat soy. To some extent, this is true.
Yes.
But what it applies more to, because, like, the estrogenic effects, or like, even testosterone boosting foods, like, there's an upper limit to how much of this thing you can eat and how much it affects your body. The reason why you see these, like, emaciated, thin-framed looking vegan men who eat or drink soy and can't open their soylent because they're too frail, they were already low testosterone in the first place, and they didn't do anything to, like, reverse those effects, and they kind of embodied it. And then when you throw more on top of that, you're not helping the problem, because there are also people who are bodybuilders and eat soy products.
Okay.
There is a way to offset it. And if you're naturally high test, like, the only way you're going to offset your high testosterone levels is by eating fucking, like, estrogen pills.
So you heard it here first, folks.
Like, you have to actually fucking ingest hormones, or, like, give me tits. Like, it's not gonna... And even then, if you have regular testosterone levels, not even high,
if you don't want
regular, they'll balance out. Like, the male body has estrogen in it. It's not like we don't produce any estrogen.
This is true.
It's there, and it is in foods.
But if you don't want to take the
it's
easy...
also in your shampoo and your toothpaste and your drinking water and probably the plastic chairs you bought from IKEA and the cup you drink out of. What else can I make a claim about having hormones in it?
The things you keep your food in.
Yeah, probably the food too. They're probably putting it in the food.
That all of it.
Right, because technically, like, they grow veggies with hormones and shit.
You know what's really
and
creepy?
They grow animals with hormones.
When you go to the supermarket and right near checkout, you see things like the small table talk pies.
Yeah.
And among the ingredients, one of the things it'll be like may contain genetically modified organisms.
Yes.
And it's like, this is just a circle of pie like this big and a plastic... No, more like this big and like a little box and a little tiny tin.
We've entered Alex Jones territory. Alex Jones is right, like, 3 out of 10 times. The problem with Alex Jones is he yells about that shit, he doesn't properly get his sources, and he just, like, anything that comes across his table, he's like, yeah, print it, like, go.
The twin horror of transhumanism and veganism. Veganception.
As far as the whole hormones in the things, there have been...
You heard it here first.
There have been more than enough studies done. I like that, Dare. He's been right 10 out of 10. He's been wait. Yeah. He's not a crackpot who's right sometimes. He's a prophet. He's not right now, but he'll be right 10 years from now.
There are things he said on, like, Austin Public Access in, like, the late 90s that are happening right now. I bet you.
It still means he was, like, wrong about it. Predicting something happening, fine. But sometimes he's not predicting. Sometimes he's like, they're doing this, and it's like, no, they will be doing this.
All right.
Or they're in the process of setting it up, but you can't be like, they're doing this, and then wait 10 years and be like, see, I was right. Like you put your feet up on the cold table 10 years too soon.
Okay, just real quickly.
And as far as the well, as far as the fucking hormones in stuff, there's some exaggeration when I talk about what has hormones in it. But there are some things like plastics. No, plastics have hormones in it.
Xenoestrogens are a very real thing. Look it up. Our world is dying.
Yeah. So like, plastic has hormones in it.
A real hero goes. It scares me that he's predicting the end of Evangel. Hey, listen. He probably predicted the guy who was in charge of Berserk. He probably predicted him dying. We just have to catch up to it.
Uh-oh. There's only one way of settling this. Rock, paper, scissors. Haynes wins. He's a prophet. Noxus wins. He's a crackpot.
All right, fine.
Okay.
I have to count to three. All right.
3. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right. That's 1, 2, 3, shoot. All right. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Fuck. He's a prophet.
Scissors. Excuse me.
Oh look! Don't get me wrong.
That was so delightful. Thank you.
If he, because sometimes he puts his feet up early and he's
Mhm.
like, "Mark my words, this shit's gonna be happening soon."
Yes.
If you phrase it like that, fine, because you're like, they're working on it. But sometimes he's like,
Interesting to note.
thing happening now, and it's like, it's not. It's I don't know.
Interesting to note how Alex Jones speaks about
Tara's
how.
always right. Write it down.
Interesting to note how Alex Jones talks about how like Hillary Clinton smells like brimstone and the people like she hangs out with. Evidently, people like Hugo Chavez said things like, "I knew Hillary Clinton had entered the United Nations once I smelled brimstone in the air."
Huh.
Hugo Chavez and
they're just
who else?
exaggerating a little bit.
Someone else said it.
Have you ever met someone that smelled like brimstone?
I'm not because no, but I'm not a world leader who's had to deal with the Clintons.
I mean, brimstone also, like, all right, so the smell of brimstone is a very real thing.
Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi said the same thing about how, like, the Clintons smell like brimstone.
Right, but, like, okay, so now, like, logic brain here, like, there are things that have the smell of brimstone, like, you know, that we associate that smell.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe they use stupid, like, maybe because of their dumb, like, beliefs and, like, rituals.
They're global despots. They would know what brimstone smells like.
From what I understand, the brimstone smell is usually, like, a burnt fart kind of smell.
That's right, real hero. Didn't Chavez said it smelled like sulfur after George W. gave a speech? You're right. They just... So what is up with Alex Jones talking about the brimstone and the goblins and the, you know...
Right, but you see what I mean? Like, oh, they had the smell of like what is largely recognized as the smell of sulfur
Goblins!
when you say like brimstone, and it's like, you know what? They have been tied to some weird ritualistic shit, and if someone's dumbass old pantheon bullshit makes them fucking rub sulfur on their face, and then when they walk in a room it smells like burning farts, like that's on you. And maybe they are satanic, God knows. Maybe they do worship
burning farts.
But at the same time, this motherfucker goblins, and it's like, come on, man. You know, quickly discredit yourself by doing that kind of shit.
My favorite coup de grace, Alex Jones.
Now we're way off topic.
My favorite coup de grace Alex Jones has ever delivered was when he said, "They're turning the freaking frogs gay,"
and he was.
This was the greatest understatement of all time, because not only this is beyond his scope. It's not like beyond, now it's above, because they transitioned from male to female,
yes,
and we're expecting
real goblins in like 10 years. Yeah, from the Hollow Earth, right? The real goblins coming out of the Hollow Earth.
I can't wait to just like hammer nails into baseball bats and go after goblins for exercise.
Or we'll actually officially start calling goblinoid-looking people goblins, and that's how they'll be right. They won't be real goblins. We'll just officially make like a medical diagnosis of like, this is what we're gonna call them goblins from now on. And then
people from Guatemala.
I mean, if you wanted to say all Guatemalans look like goblins.
What do you think Guatemala is in Spanish?
I'm just saying.
Goblinville.
Well, if that happens, I'll give him partial credit. If we just start calling people goblins.
All right. Mileage may vary. I used Babelfish. You know, that's what it told me.
How about the UFO disclosure going on now? The last I heard was that there was some footage that came out, and then someone disproved it and said the footage was doctored or something like that. Like
I think so.
the Pentagon released UFO footage, and someone was like, "This has been edited. This is not real. Like they edited this footage has been edited, and whether or not that means it was manufactured or was like something was removed or added, I can't tell what that means."
Well, I think it was released that way because what is actually going on out there is much creepier and unable for the public to take without freaking out.
Well,
So-
if you believe that these politicians smell like sulfur and brimstone, then you probably also believe that our Lord Cthulhu is sitting in wait, and the elder ones are just patiently sitting there.
No, Lord Cthulhu's in Wyoming.
Cthulhu's in the ocean.
You ever met anyone from Wyoming?
Cthulhu is a water-based creature.
Have you ever met anyone from Wyoming?
Also, he would be larger than our planet.
Have you ever met anyone from Wyoming?
In my personal life, no.
Neither have I.
Right.
Wyoming
If
is the
Cthulhu-
ancient old tongue of no state here.
If
There
Cthulhu
are portals,
was in
and to
Wyoming-
get to the depths of the ocean, you have to go to Wyoming. That's why nothing ever comes out of Wyoming, ladies and jerks.
Obama just said he knows about UFOs. Is that really all that happened? I mean, hold on. To be fair, that kind
Yeah,
of...
Obama said a lot of things.
That means, like...
All right,
Let's just draw a line here.
This fucking
as
guy.
far as, like...
remember when Michael Brown
UFOs
happened?
thing.
It could have been my son. Yeah, get the hell out of here. This guy.
Cthulhu was in Atlantic City. My God. Y'all are... You know what? I'm not even gonna slip on it. I think if they come out with aliens and are making it up, it's just 30 years in the future tech. I mean, I like the theory of like alien tech is like what we're using. I find it hard to imagine that a species capable of galactic travel would even come here and care about the monkeys with the fire and the burning fuel and the look they kill themselves by eating garbage and like burning the air they breathe.
You know, I wonder if aliens who have been watching Earth over a long period of time are like commenting, and they're like, all right, so like before, like they would starve to death, and like now they're dying because they're too fat, and
Yeah.
they're like, wow, like how far we've come.
A species capable of galactic travel probably would think we're morons, and
I've always wondered,
or we wouldn't even register. You know what I mean?
I've always wondered if like, in the event that there are aliens out there that have been watching,
I'm sure there
right?
are. I don't know if they're intelligent.
If any of them have been watching, I wonder if it's like, all right, like they nuked their own twice. Like, what's their problem?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the closest I can come to making any assessment of like, is there life elsewhere? I would have to imagine that if we're going to go off of like Big Bang happens, shit starts going out. You know what I mean? And then by chance, life starts popping up in places. Presumably, most of that life kind of started around the same time, unless someone got a head start and they're really far off. So if there is a more intelligent species, it's probably way too far away to even contact. And if there is life, it's probably more or less all around the same amount of time we've had, and just as stupid. So it's the whole, like, why haven't we found intelligent life out there? Because eventually intelligent life becomes what we are, and eventually you destroy yourself. Whether through war, destroying your planet, or just not being able to get off the rock before it dies. Like, is there life out there? Yeah, you're probably never going to fucking see it.
sometimes that rock will blow up or implode, but I mean, the rock eventually dies one way or another.
Yeah, like, sure there's life out there, and if we're any example of how intelligent life gets, woo, there's bad shape, very bad shape. We're getting really close to crossing the line of like, and you've done enough damage to the planet that you won't be able to sustain life. That's how bad we are. Imagine a species of something stupider, or something with more control, where they don't care and they're just like, fuck it.
How many years do you think we are away from before we cross a line in terms of the environment?
Yeah, like being
like unsalvageable. Like how many more? Like once we get like permasmog, like in a Blade Runner.
I'm not a professional, so I don't want to make any kind of like weird, stupid judgments.
Right.
But from the people who know what they're talking about and aren't like Bill Nye, the science guy kind of people, where it's like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't like not those people. It varies based on how well we can turn our shit around.
which is not happening.
I mean, slowly, there's potential for us to fix our shit.
Okay.
I'm not saying we're hopeless, but like, I think the odds are not in our favor because for the most part, people don't care, and the ones that do care can't convince the ones that don't care.
Okay.
Even if a majority of the world goes, hey, we're going to do everything in our power to save the planet and to stop burning, putting fucking holes in the atmosphere and polluting the water which we get our food from, and like maintain a healthier lifestyle and grow lab-grown meat. And then one country the size of, like, I don't know, hypothetically China, could cause enough pollution to just like reverse all of the work done by everyone else.
Okay.
If we all get on board, all right, we're in business.
You could take it up with Monoxus here.
Oh, look, there's more smoke. They're back. Now
Slash
it's red
Monoxus.
smoke.
You could take it up with him, all right? Because if you want to call him out, if you want to listen, the option to talk shit is always here. Because I'm not going to perpetually go, is he wrong? Because
ahead.
99% of the time, is he wrong? I'd like to propose to you.
I don't know. The question is, can people pull their shit together? I say no. If I was a gambling man, and it was like Vegas odds, humanity survives by coming together and like fixing the environmental crisis that we're in. We don't.
So,
Because race exists in general.
well, and by race you mean that one race that keeps taking strained and greasy dumps into the
Not
ozone?
just that. I think the
and throw it
differences
into the
that we
ocean?
have racially are so visibly different that we will continue to fight about shit like that. You know, like, oh, we're not going to join your thing because you look a certain way. We're not going to join your thing. Religion's also up there because you believe in a different thing. We're not going to join you because you behave in a certain way. When realistically, it doesn't matter what you look like and what you believe in or how you behave. When the planet dies, you fucking die. So good luck being the last species to survive. Good luck in your Fallout future where you're like, haha, we beat the X group.
I hope someone other than Elon has something, either the moon or Mars, but
Mars.
I hope he's not the only one with an outpost in the event such a thing happens.
And how long would a Mars outpost outlast without help from Earth? You know what I mean? Like,
unless it's self-sustaining.
which, okay, but now we're getting into that territory of, so you know all those things we have problems with here?
Yes.
Like our moral codes, and our racial issues, and our political issues, and our religious issues. If you bring any of that there, you just start the same problem again. Except now, you no longer have a whole planet you have to protect. You have an incredibly small, compared to the size of Earth, small base of operations where if there is tensions running high, like a hole in the wall could kill everybody.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
A mismanaged tile can allow enough radiation to the base that everybody dies. There is no room for butting heads of any variety. So what do? Do you bring people who are close-minded and the same so that they work together? Or do you try to bring people who are all very open-minded and hope to God that it never evolves into infighting because you brought in too many open-minded people?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's inevitable. You bring in people with differences. Those differences eventually,
One way or another.
somehow,
Okay.
maybe not in the immediate future. And again, one fucked up tile and there's enough radiation to kill people. One hole in the wall and the oxygen is leaking out. Like, one fuck up and the entire species on Mars dies.
More or less. Now, ladies and jerks, now hang on. AFDH goes, fake government sanctioned alien to shake the shekels out of you. Watch, they're gonna false flag an alien invasion, and then like real aliens are gonna show up.
That'd be amazing.
Then real aliens are gonna show up, and it's gonna make them look really bad, and everyone will forget about it 2 weeks later.
I mean, I've talked about this to some people, and like the existence of aliens, like if false or not, I always thought it'd be an ingenious thing if there was a false alien invasion or an arrival of aliens, like a well done, orchestrated by like a government body or a shadow government, hypothetically, to use as a way of going, all right, listen, you know how you all have these like, here are your scientific theories about life in other worlds, and here are your religious books that very clearly are like, no here, only here, like, nuh-uh. And then all of a sudden there's an alien who shows up and is like, all right, here's the deal. Your religions are bullshit. your science is flawed. Here's how it actually works off this planet. You have now cut off a large amount of the heads of the Hydra that is humanity's woes with each other by eliminating like all of these things that like,
maybe.
So an alien arriving and having knowledge from outside the planet and being like, nah, your gods are fake. How do you know? Oh, we met God. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I think humanity would seem like, fuck you, because like that's how we are. But if you had some way of legitimizing this thing's claims, you could cut off a lot of those troubles. The same way the alien could be like, oh yeah, you are racially different, or you aren't.
Okay.
You guys don't understand DNA well enough. You're all actually very more alike than you can imagine, and that could kind of like an extraterrestrial being with knowledge from off planet.
We met God. It's just an unending orb of light in Idaho.
Yeah, like and it could show up and be like, oh, here are all the human woes, and here's why they're stupid, and let me explain it to you, and like that could help a lot of humanity. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Maybe.
I mean, a fucking alien could also show up and be like, no, yeah, Christianity was right. What's up? And like, okay, that's aliens on another planet believe in the Catholic God. I guess that's the one that wins in the end. You know, like, but like, it could nail a lot of issues down and be like, no, this alien is from off-world, and here's what they know, and he's telling us. And that just like, no. Because these things can travel through the fucking stars. They are way better than us. They are way more advanced. And if they're like, nope.
Okay. But
you know?
for the likelihood of such a benevolent outcome, like
Knox has just described the Antichrist.
Good job.
Oh my god.
AFDH chimes in with Mormons on Mars, Amish on the moon, high-tech barn. I think these differences are mitigated by the extreme hostile environment. Everyone has to take one for the team. If not, we all die. You know, there probably is some sort of serendipitous end to such a thing. However, the inequities of man would only surface when we're over in Mars or like the moon. Like someone's gonna get raped or killed just because like these things happen, and it's
you can't take the humanity out of us.
Statistically speaking, it's gonna happen. And then how do you deal with that? Like imagine in like Mars, instead of like executing you, like they just throw you in the airlock, and outside the colony is just like, I mean, how long does a body last for in Mars?
With nothing to eat it, and like that was you, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Nothing to decompose it, right? Like nothing breaks it down.
Nada. Like
I mean, technically
but then again, it's in Mars.
If you were gonna kill people at the Mars colony, you probably want to put their body to use as like a fertilizer. I'm just saying.
All right.
You're not gonna waste it. You gonna go bury people on Mars? Fuck out of here.
Well,
no one's gonna go dig a fucking grave.
You could use it to make some of the best tomatoes ever.
Yeah.
Delicious Mars tomatoes.
Recycle the body.
All right.
I mean, you know.
All right. No. All things considered.
I'm hoping that that's the case. I really hope that when we get to Mars, we're no longer holding on to these stupid ass ideas like burying the dead or burning them without the intention of using them for fertilizer. Put them in a box and put them in the ground. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Soylent. Imagine it turns out not only is Soylent Green people, but like is like 60% of a daily necessary vitamins and nutrition.
I'm sure Mars is gonna have compost.
It turns out.
Put the body in the compost pile.
It turns out on Mars, Soylent Green is the best vegetables you've never had.
Just put the body in the compost pile. Put it to use. Why are you putting it in a box and burying it?
Now hang on. AFDA. Listen, Monoxus isn't heralding the Antichrist, okay? He's just welcoming the alien overlords that come off as benevolent, even though like there's a 97% chance that if and when aliens show up, they're just gonna like start blasting.
Maybe. I mean, I'd like to believe that if they've made it far enough to get past the hump of not eradicating themselves through stupidity, they would eventually pull into some kind of Star Trek-like thing where they show up and it's like, how dumb are they? Are they dumb enough that we can't get involved? Or like, are they smart enough that we can communicate with them? You know what I mean? I think we meet dumb enough that we can't get involved. Like, sure, we have cities, but like they would look at us and go, oh no, they've reached the point where it's like, if they can't get over this and move on as a species and survive, we let them die. Because we don't want that. We let the dumb species kill itself, because you want that in a galactic federation? The thing that shows up and is like, you look different! and then you're gonna deal with aliens. How are humans gonna deal with fucking aliens if we can't deal with each other?
Well,
That one's got green skin.
that is part
We
of
call
the
them
appeal.
greeners.
That's,
You see what I mean?
but that's part of the appeal of Star Trek, and where like inevitably, like in this universe, the differences were looked past upon one another, and Earth was a part of the
Yes.
the Galactic Federation.
But so I think if a species could
So-
get here, they'd look at us and be like, "Let them. They got it. They have to do this themselves."
Star Trek Earth would look like modern day Earth and weep. All right.
Just put it out.
There goes. What if the aliens were just really good at traveling around space, but don't know shit otherwise? They just specked into one tree and that's it.
Highly unlikely considering the amount of scientific, like the amount of math they would have to know and the technology they would have to have. There's no way they wouldn't figure out other technology. No way.
Touche. All right.
They understand physics better than we do. Oh, they can't figure out. No, get out of here. That or they're just already a unified species.
Well,
Who's to say other planets
What
evolved
if-
to have like all these weird differences?
What
What if
if-
their planets are better developed for life and they don't have all these different crazy mutations that to survive? They actually mutate or survive as a singular being. You know what I mean?
I mean, okay, let's take this to its most conceited extreme. A picture of gray, if you will. All right. The grays don't seem to have any genitalia, do they?
Well, in our depictions of them.
Well, what if, all right, like they've evolved the need to just like eat to stay alive. They just need chips and
Sure.
like probes to like put
I mean, they
put in
still-
people's butts and tools to mutilate cattle.
They still
And
reproduce.
and they need the instruction manual for the ship so they could like put crop circles.
Who made the ships?
Presumably them.
And those ones, I mean, the only I'll give it this. Maybe that the only way I can imagine that kind of situation happening is if you have this species that's advanced enough to travel the stars,
Yeah.
and then they go. So here's the deal: we're one of the most advanced civilizations that another stupid monkey civilization like ours could even fathom, like galactic space travel through wormholes or not. And then they send like their dummies in the ships. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So like the ships work themselves. We're sending you like Invader Zim style. Like you're going to Earth. Find out what you can about it. You have 60 galactic days, and then the ship comes back. Don't be on the planet when like the ship leaves because it's like automated. And you send fucking goons to the planet to do the like lifting, maybe. But like then why would you send? This is a fucking recon mission. You're gonna send goons and not someone intelligent.
What?
None of this makes sense. It just sounds like
They couldn't even save it in post-production if they tried.
it sounds like stupid human logic to justify aliens being like dumber than us, even though like we would definitely be the stupider one in this scenario. Although I don't even believe those exist.
You just have zero faith in us now, don't you?
I have zero faith in most species evolving because we would have met them or seen them by now. We are a good example of what life on other planets probably looks like. It's either destroying itself or figuring out how to no longer destroy itself, or it's so advanced that it looks at us and goes, nope, they're monkeys.
Wow.
But I do think if there is life, it probably exists for about as long as we have, and it's probably either getting where we are
You think
or
so?
dealing with what we're dealing with in some form or another. Not our specific issues. Who's to say that they figured out what a nuclear bomb is?
Mhm.
Also, our planet is not great for survival anyway. It's good. It's not ideal. It's not the optimum planet. I'm sure there are better planets.
I mean, it's got these really weird self-defense mechanisms that try to throw us off.
I'm sure there are bigger planets with a better, like, what's it called? A better environment. I'm sure there are also species that evolved and were just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, you look a little different, but it's fine.
You know, before
I'm just saying, it's weird. Yeah, maybe Greys are tourists, and maybe they're the goons that got left because they were over here busy fucking putting sticks in cows' butts,
sex tourist aliens.
and then the ship left, and like that's how we got one. You know, they abandoned them. They're like, we fucking stayed on the planet.
I've always been under the consideration that what crashed at Roswell, among the things that they found crashed at Roswell were like either the remains of greys or gray giblets.
Sure,
I'd like to, because like
if it was a Grey,
okay,
criminal lizard men,
how come
lizard person, they're asexual, right?
well, I mean, wait, do lizard people have genitalia?
According to the human lore, I don't think so.
What's up with these interdimensional beings and aliens not having junk?
They've evolved past it, Haynes. Just like we're gonna do one day.
Is that what Blood Mountain was about by Mastodon, where like upon using the crystal skull, you evolve past the need for the reptilian part of the brain?
I mean,
so you just end up becoming.
Asimov's books cover that shit too, where it's like if a species survives long enough, it'll eventually reach a point where procreation via sex becomes more of a negative than a positive, because you have members of the species dying off by not being able to procreate.
Right.
So logically speaking, the beneficial evolutionary trait would be to self-replicate and just keep your own DNA alive by creating your own like young by having both sex organs. So I think that's where it comes from.
I see.
Like the idea that it would be an evolutionary beneficial trait to just be like, bang, I got a baby, and it's almost like a copy of you with like minor differences.
And you had mentioned this, and of all the planets, and that is the one child with the psychic ability.
In that one story, there's like, and then they develop like, so there's that. I mean, but I also imagine that based on our planet, if we're going to use us as a template, anything that reproduces typically has sex in some form or another. It's not the same. And I mean, I don't know how many asexual budding species there are. I'm sure there's a couple of, like fungi, I'm sure do that.
That's true.
Sponges, maybe?
It is through...
But complex organisms typically have sexes, and even plants have sexes. Like...
True.
Plants
have sexes? Plants considered to be turfs.
Oh, yeah, so like complex organisms, they eventually develop sex, because I guess that's how creatures evolve, to make sure that strong traits survive and weak traits die. Because if it was just all asexual budding creatures, pick your list of terms that make this creature inferior, it can just keep popping versions of itself out, and it's like, yeah, but this thing sucks, but it keeps surviving because it can just keep making copies. You know what I mean?
Classic.
I'm just, theoretically, that's how it would end up being.
All right, but how... every time this guy looks forward into the future and projects
organisms. Oh my god. Complex organisms.
That's awesome.
That's so bad.
Every time this guy looks forward...
Like anal, maybe. Maybe they reproduced their butts.
The Greys confirmed to have butt babies. Every time this guy looks forward to the future, he always has a positive outlook for the horrific monstrosities that mankind will either be at the mercy of, alien or technology-wise.
I don't see evolution or progress as a negative thing. I think that people like to imagine that, but my way of liking things and my way of doing things, it's kind of how, I've talked about if the world needed a purge to survive, right? Generally, if that was the worst case, we're there. There's too many people, the planet's dying, the only, immediate solution is we gotta fucking cut the population in half, right? A lot of people would be like, well, you do it at random. Because that's fair, right? And a lot of people, you do it bigotedly. Because that's how they think. I personally would be like, no, you take what we all agree upon as positive traits, smarter, stronger, just those kinds of things that we can mostly agree on as being, net positives. And those people who have those traits in mass...
Oh, the eugenicist is in the office. Here at twitch.tv/Monoxus, we're having sci-fi eugenicist power hour.
Yeah, but my point would be that, and by that argument, I've had people go, right, but because I'm shorter, and I'm not the smartest fucking person, I would be on the shopping block. That's fine, because I believe that would work as a system. There are some people who are like, well, no, you got to do it X way or Y way to help everyone. No one is more important than anyone else unless they have traits that are more important for survival as a species. And if you don't want to look at us as a species and you want to go individualistic, well, then no one's important because we're all vastly flawed and different. You know what I mean? So, yes, I see the future as being we finally get over all these stupid things that we're all these make us special and unique. No, a unified, collectively in agreement species that actually cares about survival would work. We're just never going to get there. We value our individuality too much, and I'm a victim of that too. I'm human. I can't fight these things. It's part of who we are. That's why we won't survive.
Well,
we're selfish and we're violent. It's part of us.
I remember.
It sucks, but it's how it is. Hey, get out of here, bot.
I'll see you in hell, bot. I you see, uh, as long as you start speaking the truth, bots are gonna come. The bots hated Monoxus because he spoke the truth. Um,
We do it randomly. Cancer lottery. All right, cancer lottery could work.
so listen. Um, it should be noted that in the event of depopulation, like those tablets in like Stone Mountain, Georgia, have like. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? There are these like tablets, I think, in Stone Mountain, Georgia, where it was like, don't let the population get over like 500 billion or some shit like that. It had these like commandments, not
Okay.
well, like instructions for humanity,
I
really.
don't think I've ever heard of this, but all right, this is a real thing.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Hold on.
Georgia Guidestones.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So.
So, and where do we have an idea where they came from?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm just if you knew of, I wanted to know.
It just does not.
But it has guidelines.
Yes. So, in accordance with the Georgia Guidestones, to have no more than 500 billion people on the planet at any given time.
The planet wouldn't even hold that many people.
No. But we have over a trillion. Like
No,
500 million. I'm sorry.
we're well over that.
We have 3 trillion, but like half of them are underground. Shh, don't tell anyone. We have I think it's like 500 million. Don't let it go past 500 million.
More like the Georgia Pistons. Because he only remembers because there's a picture of a dude pissing on them pads. Well, now I gotta know.
Don't tell anyone, but we have a trillion people. Shh.
Imagine. Like ants.
But I think it's like a 500 million. That's where it's like, don't let the population go past that.
I'm gonna find out the number.
Very sorry to be nosy. Yes, just rich people buying land and having the stones commissioned anonymously. Would not be surprised, Dave the H.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
That's kind of a low-key, greasy flex right there. So what is it?
I don't know. I was trying to read through an article. There's all this information that I don't care about.
What does the tablet say?
I'm trying to figure that out. You talk to the people.
All right, fine. So as Monoxus is trying to talk to the people, I'm really curious what kind of vegetables Monoxus considered A and B, or even if there are C vegetables.
Maintain humanity under 500 million.
There you go. You see? And what were the other ones? Don't be dicks.
I'm not gonna read the rest of them.
Punch people in the face.
Unite humanity with a living new language. Guide reproductive based on improving fitness and diversity.
I don't know about that.
Ruling with passion, faith, and tradition. Tempering it with reason. I mean, they're not bad guidelines.
If the H chimes in with, I think most of what is known about them comes from the son, the son. I'm very sorry. Who made the stones and public records for the ownership of the land. Aha! So there is a certain Mason, excuse me. So there is a paper trail, or at the very least, like you can divine its origin.
Sure, but I mean, 500 million?
They're bad guidelines because they're telling me what to do. All right, now hang on,
I mean,
Dare.
good guidelines in the sense of like, oh yeah, I mean, 500 million was very optimistic,
Every time Dare sees a stop sign, he floors it.
but you know.
He hates being told what to do. No shirt, no shoes.
Red light, that means go.
No shirt, no shoes. He just like rips his clothes off, goes in, puts exact change, and gets the 3 things he
Does
wants.
that mean Dare stops at green and goes at red?
Yes,
That must be that must suck.
he is everyone's evil twin.
That's a mess.
Hell yeah,
Use the bathroom.
showing up,
Speed limits are unconstitutional. Sure.
just showing up, blitzed with like fucking swim trunks, but the upper half is like a tuxedo shirt and a tuxedo with the bow tie. Ave Maria. So we here at twitch.tv/Monoxus are glad you're able to come here and commiserate what you find, folks. This is the greatest public access television in the 21st century. Other ladies and jerks are not watching. So thank you. I would like to remind everyone that the hot weather is coming, all right? So now we're going to be entering summer, and it is going to be when the sun is an anvil for like 3.5 months up in the sky, and for 10 hours a day, I melt, And it takes everything inside of me not to turn into abstract art when being out of doors. It's not good. Basement. Redeemed Stained Haynes asked chat a question. All right. So, I am curious. Oh, so Monoxus is all like, no, there's no fucking F vegetable. All right, chat. What is a vegetable you will refuse to eat, even upon pain of death? Like if there were a gun to your head and it was like, yo, basement, you have to eat blank. You'd be like, all right, I had a good run. There are vegetables people don't like out there. I would like to know what that is. Although personally, like, I could do without zucchini, honestly, and squash. The only reason I mess with eggplant is because you have eggplant parmesan. Otherwise, what are you doing with eggplant? It's. Ask yourself, are you rocking in the free world? All right, listen. If I were to ever run for public office, I would run under one platform. All right, if you're speeding, and if the cop can ascertain that you were listening to Sharp Dressed Man or Legs by ZZ Top, the cop is legally obligated to let you go. To be honest, just cherries. I know they're not a veggie, but I don't hate veggies. Oh, okay. So like you're substituting veggies for fruits, but like, yo, would you prank call cherries and call it ugly? Would you? Durian, and if that is not a vegetable, asparagus. Ooh, you don't like asparagus? Tell me more, AFDH. Because, like, I could mess with asparagus, especially if you cook them in the oven with olive oil and just a teeny tiny.
Get back to vegetables?
Basement redeemed Stained Haynes asked chat a question, and I had asked, like, all right, so, like, Monoxus has no F vegetable. Like, do you have an F vegetable?
If I had to put one in F, you know what I mean? I could, like,
okay.
You know, like, let's say tier list wise, like, you have to pick one that is the least.
Like upon pain of death, you wouldn't even eat it. Like there's a gun to your head, and it's like,
I don't know.
Evidently for A of the H, it's like if there's asparagus, even if it's like nice grilled asparagus with olive oil and sea salt, they would. So what did you ask? It would be a plate in front of him, and he would just be like, just do it, chief.
So you just asked what their F tier was? Yeah. I'm gonna
kale or Brussels. No love for Brussels, really. Not a lot of people are like, I really like Brussels sprouts.
Off the top of my head, if I had to put something at the very bottom, it is currently Brussels sprouts. But let me, because like I'm trying to think if I've ever had anything where
Basement and Monoxus in the anti Brussels sprout crew.
They just, I mean, they're bad, dude. But I'm gonna look at a more thorough list because I feel like I've definitely had something where. Because I've gone back to Brussels sprouts and tried. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think if there's ever been something I had and I was like, there's no way I can make this work.
Oh, now, really quickly. Basement and Monoxus are going to be doing hate crimes against Brussels. Tune in later. There is... yes, to make me want to vomit. Asparagus is great, though. Oh, what's everyone's beef with asparagus here? All right,
I like asparagus.
A of the H's, I don't like the texture of asparagus. It's too gibbery. To be fair, I never had it grilled, though. I was anti-Brussels for a long time, but I tried them as an adult again, and they're all right. You know what's really funny? When I was a child, I didn't like feta, olives, or tomato, and now I really like feta, olives, and tomato.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with, like, Brussels sprouts.
Asparagus. Listen, I don't know if you've ever had... Okay, well, like, A of the H. And you too, Dare. When you're having asparagus, like, prepared, how was it cooked? Because, honestly, if you're not making it in the oven and just slow roasting it, so when you do eat it, it's still crunchy and it retains texture.
Like
as opposed... Yeah. Right, like... And if not in the oven, grilling it, oh boy, hell, dude, you could grill olives. That's what they do in Cyprus, and the olives taste amazing, all right? You can do this.
I'm not seeing anything.
Boiled asparagus? Ew, Dare. What monsters are you living around?
I mean, you can blanch asparagus. It doesn't have to be boiled. Like, you blanch it in boiling water for like a minute or two. It keeps its crispness, but it cooks a bit. And then you just season it.
You could do that.
Yeah, you can blanch most veggies.
This is very true.
pop them in the hot water for a little bit.
Although,
Give them some cooked.
hey, the H chimes in with boiled with sauce hollandaise. Oh well, I mean like boiled. What is boiled?
Hey, people boil their veggies all the time.
Yeah, and people jaywalk all the time. It doesn't mean it's okay.
Is it not? I do it all the time.
I just did.
I thought that was normal. Yeah, I mean the only I'm gonna put Brussels. Brussels sprouts is definitely down there.
So there is all my old parents, but the asparagus is pretty soft, so I'm just guessing. So Brussels sprouts is upon pain of death, you wouldn't eat Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts, lima beans.
Peas?
I don't like.
No, peas are a D.
And yeah, peas, like I said, integrated. I mean, I don't like them by themselves. Here's the thing, though. Like those three things, like lima beans, peas, Brussels sprouts, I think all of them can be integrated well.
Okay.
But just as is, they taste horrid. I think their natural flavors are not good for my palate. I haven't had lima beans in a really long time though, so that's one of those foods where I've just never gone back to try it again. Like I've had some really good Brussels sprouts when cooked properly, and I've had peas in food and not had an issue with them. I don't think I've ever gone back and tried lima beans again because I just hated them so much. So it might be lima beans.
Okay. All right. Lima beans.
I've given other stuff a chance, is what I'm saying. But I guess I've never really been in a situation where lima beans have come up, and I've been like, I'll try those again.
Even if they were mixed with something else?
Maybe. Well, that's what me and beans in general. I think beans work well as an additional flavor.
I mean, like you heard. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Beans in a burrito, it is always an excellent addition. All right.
Like for a long time, I wouldn't eat chili because I didn't like beans.
Yeah.
And I've recently come around to them, and I was like at a bar like a few weeks back, and we just got some chili, and it was kind of overloaded with beans, but like they fucking tasted pretty good mixed in with that stuff.
Okay.
So I had no problem. I kept going back. So I think I might be over the beans thing.
All right, now because I had stated earlier when you were out in the little Monoxis's room.
Yes.
I could do without zucchini, squash, and the only reason I even consider eggplant is outside of eggplant parmesan. What are you doing with eggplant? You could oven roast it, like
yes.
but like you could also do that with like zucchini, but again, it's like very limited, like outside. I mean,
the only thing I do with eggplant is like you said, parm or like tempanade, like an eggplant spread.
Very true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Eggplant cooked, blended up, some olive oil, some seasoning, some tomato.
It's a very good point. Can I do anything without? I mean,
squash is also really bland. Like I feel like most people don't like squash and things, or it's added to stuff to be mixed in.
This is true.
I don't think a lot of people usually just eat squash, unless you're trying to eat a healthier diet and avoiding like complex or simple carbs, and you're not eating pasta, so you make like spaghetti squash.
This is true. Oh, that's right.
Which is also pretty good.
Spaghetti squash.
But that's also a different species of squash that you usually use for spaghetti squash. Although nowadays there are tools where you can turn basically any vegetable into thin spaghetti-like strands. Yeah, and then when you boil them, they get kind of soft. It's not really pasta, but like it's not pasta.
Even like eggplant.
I'm sure you could. It might be like eggplant gets really squishy. I don't know if you want to do it with eggplant.
That's true. Although, however,
squash usually works the best.
Reminder: when you're messing with eggplant, one of the ways to get eggplant parmesan to work is so you don't turn it into a soggy, gross mess where it's just falling apart underneath the mozzarella cheese and the tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Is after you cut the eggplant up, you have to let it soak overnight in water with salt in it, all right? And afterwards, like that's what retains the moisture, which eventually erodes while in the oven, because whenever you cook vegetables in the oven, whenever you're done, it's always like shrunken 30% of what it was before you put it in, because it's like eating up all the moisture. So eggplant, to prevent turning into this shriveled, depressed, collapsed under the weight of Italian goodness of cheese and sauce, you let it soak overnight in water with salt, so it retains the moisture and still is like something you have to eat with a fork and a knife.
I mean, the way I've always done it, if you haven't tried this yet, cut the eggplant into thin slices the long way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like sheets of eggplant.
Right.
And then you batter or egg dip, flour, egg dip, breadcrumbs. So now you've got like double layered, and then you put that shit in the oven and bake it.
Aha.
A little bit of oil on top, and let it cook it. And then it's basically just bread covered eggplant, and there's no moisture loss because it all just kind of stays in because of the bread encoded like crust.
Excellent.
And then once it's been baked and crisped up, then you do the whole layering sauce cheese nonsense.
Instead of frying it like a maniac.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could probably fry it, but if you have the option to bake your goods, just bake them. It's better for you. It also has less cleanup, unless you have a deep fryer. If you have a deep fryer, go at it, because you have a deep fryer.
That's cheating in life, having a deep fryer. Dare chimes in with squash can be good as a soup.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Okay.
And in fact, calabaza is a kind of squash in Latin America, and it is a part of an excellent soup you could get in almost any other corner of Latin America, and it's almost always delicious. Excuse me. AODH chimes in with, I always go baked apple and squash and cinnamon pepper and chile oil with some yogurt.
That does sound good.
That sounds excellent.
I've never thought about putting chili oil in my yogurt, but that sounds amazing.
Oh wow! Well, evidently A of the H. Listen, A of the H. When it comes, like being able to drink the milkshake and spit fire in Dead Rising came from A of the H. Like consuming chili oil with yogurt, and then before you know it, like kind of like how Homer Simpson puts shake and bake even in his coffee.
Yeah.
A of the H puts chili oil in his everything.
It's fucking disgusting.
Even when he's like eating cereal, he's having a salad. It's a birthday cake.
What is it about shake and bake that tastes so good?
I think.
It's that whatever seasoning they put in that shit tastes amazing.
But it's also part of it is also because it bakes into the meat or it fries into the meat.
Maybe.
Like
I don't know. Like I have fond memories of shake and bake, even though I can make better breadcrumbs myself.
right.
But I still remember shake and bake well.
I really because all you had to do was just like chicken in bag, shake, oven, and that chicken was kind of amazing. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you ever have fried ice cream? No, I have not.
I've had fried ice cream on many occasions.
How is it?
It's ice cream that's fried, so
Is it good?
it's pretty fucking good.
All right.
It depends on the batter they use.
Mhm.
Although it is one of those things where ice cream's already hard enough to put a lot of it down. Frying it makes it even harder to eat it. And if you eat too much, you're gonna get very sick. Because like the fried batter plus dairy does not mix well.
Oof.
So like have one.
Okay.
Like because they usually come in like a bowl. Have one and walk away. Don't eat more.
Real Hero Shake and Bake with perfection. Now I use oatmeal with spices or planko. Ooh, that's a nice move. Basement. I'd eat my hand if it was fried. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Oh no, hang on.
Frying most things makes them better. Taste wise.
How is? But here's the thing, though. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Because eventually you could go nuts and be like fried asparagus. But would you have to bread the asparagus or just throw it in there?
I think the point of frying something is it is breaded to some extent.
Okay.
You can totally fry asparagus. It'd be amazing. You can fry butter, all right? You can deep fry butter.
This is true. I've always wanted to go to like a county fair and get the things like the fried, deep fried candy bar on a stick and things like that.
I think I'm at a point in my life now where I've missed the boat on enjoying that because they would probably make me feel sick. Not gonna lie, they seem interesting. If someone else bought it, I might want to take a bite. But eating an entire fried,
Like, I'll be right back.
an entire fried almost anything, candy bar, butter, like that all sounds too much for me. I feel like it would be painful to eat.
Although, I mean, but there is also food at like state fairs that are not. I mean, like they have like regular food. They have regular desserts like waffle cones and like haunches of meat.
Well, I mean, I've had haunches of meat because I've gone to like Renaissance fairs.
Right.
And at Renaissance fairs, you can get fucking like turkey legs and shit. And those things are amazing.
Like Castlevania, like haunches.
Well, I mean, it's turkey leg though. So, I mean, I'm sure they had some kind of meat at the one I went to. I don't think I ever saw it. To be completely fair. But yeah, like, oh god, that fair food can fuck you up. I can't imagine someone just committing to spending a whole day at a fair. Like, I struggle to go to fairs in the city and not get overly stuffed on food. Although I guess around here we have a lot of like ethnically diverse foods. Like I'll fucking kill to get some nice grilled corn from a fair. That shit's amazing. That shit's too fucking good. Fried butter though, that ugh, I feel like that's vomit inducing. But that kind of goes back to the whole like fried ice cream thing too. That what's it called? Who's that? AVH. Yeah. You eat too much of that kind of stuff. At least for me, my stomach gets fucking turned. Weird mix is cinnamon applesauce and cottage cheese. Honestly, I've been putting cottage cheese on. I put it in my oats most of the time. I don't really season it though. Yeah, carny food is kind of crack, but too much of it, man. I mean, like the Queen's Night Festival over here in Flushing has a lot of stuff that can end up falling under like carny food at times, and there's only so much of that stuff I can eat. Yeah, fried Oreos, like. Yeah. At what point are you just putting like fried batter in your face and just eating nothing but like, oh yeah, it's this, but it's covered in fried bread. It's this, and it's covered in fried bread. Come on, Earth Cam, stop doing this. You can only eat so many things deep fried before you're gonna start vomiting intensely. But like with the closest thing we have, I was just saying, we have the Queen's Night Market over here. I actually once, since you mentioned it, I had funnel cake. Come on, camera.
And maybe it's the chair.
I think it's because I'm leaning back and spending a hard time. I've had funnel cake. Come on. Figure your shit out. Right here.
Funnel cake. I'm gonna have this.
I've had funnel cake. Alright. Never at like carnivals. I've had funnel cake every single time I've gone to Six Flags, and I don't learn my lesson.
Like an Alzheimer's patient.
Pretty much. Deep fried pizza mukbang lardass edition. I fucking hate those videos of just like obese people eating more food than they should be.
But sometimes it's not just obese people. Sometimes you'll see like a dainty Asian woman, like, and her tee hee hee. Can you pass me the garbage? Like a dainty Asian woman doing her tee hee hee routine while consuming like a meal meant for 3 people.
Those are not the ones I see. So
Thanks, Junior.
I always see the ones where it's a bunch of lard asses. You know. Oh, the camera got moved. I always see the ones where it's a bunch of lard asses eating a normal person's full week's worth of calories in a single sitting, just chowing the fuck down and being disgusting. And like a portion of the way into it, I've seen screens because I've never actually sat down and watched them in their entirety. Of just like there's a mess on the table. It's kind of like that scene in the Casper movie where like the ghosts are just eating fucking food and there's just like it's going through their like because they have teeth, I guess, and it just looks like mush on the floor. Like, because like how much of that shit like you're tearing at. As far as the dainty little people doing it, I mean, I know that's a thing that got popular overseas. Yeah. You know, like small Asian woman eats 10,000 calories of food.
Tee hee hee.
I can't imagine that those people like either because sometimes like because they keep their figure. Some of them, they either like fast and then do that, which I could totally see being a thing. Like doing a 48-hour fast or a 72-hour fast.
Yeah.
And then just spending like, and then your stream day is your like mukbang. Which like, all right, because that checks out. Come on, camera. Why are you doing this? Like, this has been a reoccurring issue with this thing. I gotta get a new fucking camera. That focus is terrible. But yeah, like, so maybe if you fast, you could do it.
You too can help Monoxus obtain a new camera. You could go to Streamlabs, and you could give Monoxus money that will not go to drugs or alcohol, but in fact will actually go to a new camera.
Yes, and getting Stained Haynes a haircut.
Among other things.
You too, for the price of a haircut, could get Stained Haynes a haircut.
Ladies and jerks watching at home, every 60 seconds, Ladies and jerks watching at home, every 60 seconds, a minute in Africa passes.
That's right.
If we raise awareness, we can let everyone know that this happens.
Basement says, I know it's getting spent on alcohol. What would the haircut be like? I don't know. I guess that's technically up to Stained Haynes unless we crowdfund money to get him a haircut and then decide the haircut. Although that would be entirely on him. Is a mohawk on the table, ask AFDH.
Oh, you mean like a Travis Bickle mohawk?
Presumably, yeah.
What kind of mohawk are we talking about?
Because we're talking about cutting it, we're not talking about just restyling your hair into a mohawk. We're talking about getting a haircut.
This is true.
So
Okay.
it's gotta be a short mohawk. And now Dare Lion, mohawk. AFDH said yes, I believe, to the Travis comment. I assume that's what the yes was for. Like the shorter, like buzz kind of haircut
Okay.
with a mohawk.
But here's the deal. It would also, like, other haircuts would have to be in competition here.
Yeah, like a betting pool.
So if there was a crowd-funded haircut, one of the like, it would have to be a poll, and it would have to be crowd-funded,
Sure.
and anyone who gives money can vote on the poll. Although I would not be surprised if, like, Mohawk ends up getting 79% of the bet. I would not be surprised at all.
Well, here's the thing, though. We'd have to make it like you can only donate $1, and $1 gets you entry. You know what I mean?
Right. Why only donate $1? You could donate as much as you want. Hell.
Well, I mean, because at that point,
If I perm my hair into an afro and someone gives $500 to that, I'll perm my hair into an afro.
Sure. I mean, but at that point, we have to make it like tickets almost. Like every dollar counts towards like you get one vote. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Have Anton Chigurh's haircut over there.
I mean, here's the thing though. The only real issue here is that people aren't gonna like. We're gonna have to get a photo where we like blur out your face so they can see that you got the haircut.
This is true.
But we could do that. We could set up a day where like like during this stream, every X amount that you donate gives you one extra vote, and here are the options we've gone with. And so far, I'm hearing mohawk, an afro. I don't know how you're gonna do it with your hair.
Puff it out into an perm it. Eric Clapton permed his hair into an afro in the late '60s.
So a short mohawk, a permed afro, Anton Sugar's weird
Comb over.
like bowl cut looking thing from the film, and we can figure out a couple more.
Let's see. Shaved head like a Buddhist monk.
Yeah, shaved head.
Um,
Can we throw a pixie cut up there for the lulz?
Manic Pixie Dream Girl haircut.
Yeah, like short on the one side and the back, but then like long on the other.
The Karen, I'd like to speak to the manager haircut.
Yeah, I mean that's also like the pixies kind of like pixie cut.
Kind of, sort of.
Short, shave on the side. I mean, the whole point here is to get your hair to be short enough though, so it's not a problem in the mass. So we can't really have long hairstyles in there.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, I hit you with like the fucking the Skrillex cut, where it's just like half your head is shaved, and you just have long hair on one side.
Oh, that would just be like a total douche move, though.
Yeah, but like we're trying to cut your hair. Oh, AVH says Haynes perm needs to be in there. Basement saying the baldy, save yourself for the summer. Does he have enough for a mullet? I mean, mullet fits the bill. AVH's mullet fits the bill. Yeah, mullet could happen.
Mullet can happen.
And he does have enough for a mullet.
More than enough for a mullet. Oh my god, I have enough for a Kentucky waterfall right now.
I mean, we can set this up. We can pick a day and we'll...
A of the H, I could put Kenny G to shame right now. I could put Michael Bolton to shame too. You have no idea.
And I promise that I won't donate to sway the balance.
Okay. Anonymous donor for 42069 XXX no scope.
Yeah, donated $50 to the, I don't know, the Anton Sugar haircut. Because that requires you getting that cut and then maintaining it. So good. But yeah, mullet can be on the list too. We'll get that. I think the poll, I don't know how, I'm pretty sure I can set a poll up in Twitch chat as well.
You just it just blurred you out.
Oh, I know, I see it.
Cosmic.
I swear when this thing is here, it has a hard time. It's trying to figure out if that's a face.
Aha.
Because I'm pretty sure the way that that camera is set up right now, the focus is looking for faces. So you're basically giving it a weird face to focus on, and then it probably can't focus because there's no features. It's the Curse of Haynes ghost. Yeah, it's the ghost of Haynes. It's the small worm that lives inside Stain Haynes' mask.
Ooh, make sure to put your sweaters away. It's getting hot outside. Ooh.
In this hemisphere.
It is getting hot out there, dude.
In this hemisphere. God knows it's getting cold elsewhere.
Well, all right. This
Also, real human being, I love pomegranates. Any pomegranate bros in here, love them. They're just obnoxious to open.
and to like you could eat them like sunflower seeds, kind of, sorta, just like individual like crunchy like citrus bits. That's always fun.
I love them. I was
Pomegranate juice OP.
I was almost ruined on pomegranate. The juice, there's a company that I think Key Food carries it around here. I don't know who else does. Super fucking cheap pomegranate juice, like wildly cheap. I don't understand because there's like that palm, like it's called palm, and that's just way too expensive.
Yeah.
But you know, opening up an actual, I was gonna say, I once bought pre-opened like just the pomegranate fruit.
Yeah.
In like a little container, because I was like, oh, sick! Like these people they do the work for you, and it had expired,
Oh.
and it was fermented and tasted terrible.
Ew.
So from that point on, I decided to only buy whole pomegranates and cut them up myself and eat them. And that process takes way too fucking long. Goes really good in yogurt though.
Oh, this is true. Oh, you could eat it with oats too.
Yeah, I've done it.
Although
It's a bit of a weird texture in oats, but that's just me because I always I cook my oats down and so I'll eat them like raw.
Oh, well, what is the difference in preparing them when you cook them?
Well, I mean, they're just soggy now. They're like moist oats. You know what I mean? Instead of like raw, solid oats.
I just pour water on it, like just cold water. When I eat oats.
I mean, I pour water on them and then
like a
heat them up a bit.
Like a caveman.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like that soft, mushy
Don't
texture.
Don't judge me for the way that I eat my oats.
That soft texture plus the pop of the pomegranate can be off-putting to some people.
All right, that's true.
I don't know if they're a natural test booster, but I think I covered this earlier. A lot of the time when someone says something like this food has hormone-based effects, if there was a food that could give men a massive testosterone boost without needing like an injection of hormones, don't you think a bunch of people would already be fucking eating it?
Well, did it pass FDA standards? Like, is it ethical?
We're talking about I can go to the grocery store and be like, I'm gonna get all of these fucking pomegranates and then I'm gonna get yoked. If it was that much of a boost, everyone would be doing it.
Why not just sell,
Now there are things that can give you minor amounts here and there, and
there are untapped markets and monopolies that Monoxis can be engaging in, but no. Yeah, he is dissuaded in telling women to go fuck themselves on Tinder, and that gets him dates.
I'm just, there is a certain...
Because online dating is the very last topic.
Yes. There's some nutrition that there are things you can gain from eating, but it's not...
Mystic Short's getting strunk.
You can have small amounts of testosterone or estrogen in your food, and it might have some minor effects, positive or negative, depending on what you want. But for the most part, I think if you need that kind of boost, you need actual, hormones.
So, very quickly, ladies and jerks. Real Hero goes, most people look at stuff like this too good to be true. I think there's a study that says you increase your dick size by tanning naked, but men aren't running around stripping in the sun. Well, if Twitter is any indication, there are people who are like, bro, sun your balls, bro.
Right, but here's the thing with something like tanning. Those studies typically will not mention things like, oh yeah, when you tan, your skin tightens. So you're not really getting a bigger dick. You are tightening the skin around the pelvis because the penis goes inside your body a bit as well. It's not like just fully out and exposed.
Right.
There's some internal flesh. So what you're doing is you're pulling the skin back.
Touche.
Visibly looks bigger, sure. But now maintain that tight skin.
You heard it here first, folks. Here at twitch.tv
It's not
slash
like you're like
Monoxus,
applying heat and
he
tanning
ru-
it, and your dick's
he,
like
he ruins your dick increased sun black magic
your
rituals.
dick's not a flower. Sorry, there's a size to it that your body has determined already. It's like when people are like, if you tug on it, like you'll tear skin.
Like
You-
ligaments.
You pump it, yeah, you'll hurt yourself.
So I just wanted to chime in very quickly in regards to online dating. Now, I would like to reiterate, very quickly, I deleted Tinder and I deleted OkCupid. And it is a breath of fresh air in many instances. And I would, it goes without saying, sure, it's easy to write off and say how, like, for the most part, and we made a video about this, like, for the most part, I feel worse after online dating than I ever did, like, just before it, all right?
Okay.
It would be remiss to not talk about any of the good things that did occur from it. However, now, because I'm no longer participating in it, when I see it show up in the timeline, there is a certain kind of spectacle, and there's like an endless spectacle to it, because even people unrelated to me and what I did when using the website, they're encountering the same kind of nonsense. Like, look at this shit.
Yeah.
Which does kind of give me some hope.
Sure.
In a very bizarre, roundabout sort of way. It's hard to articulate why, but it does give me hope.
I have removed myself from all aspects of online dating because I don't have the concern for it right now. I have other shit I want to work on,
Mhm.
and I don't have time to be just like looking. It's the same reason why like I made Twitter to like announce streams and shit. I barely go on Twitter. I have an Instagram, but that's mostly so I can use the messenger to contact people who only have access to me via Instagram, or for some reason don't know how to fucking text or make phone calls, because there are people like that. I don't really post on it. I don't care about these things. I don't have time for it. I've got more important shit to worry about in my life. You know what I mean? So would I go back to something like online dating? Absolutely. And this time I'll probably take it seriously and actually put an active effort into making myself look
Right.
good and not just having like a shit posty profile. Which at the end of the day, I still did get results from kind of shit posting. I mean, like I've already mentioned, I didn't really meet with most of these people, either because they ended up disappearing, like most people who respond to. I'm sure they found someone else who was more up their
Right.
alley.
There was always the weird instance of you match with someone and then
Hey, what's up? And then like a few words later, it's like, so by the way, remember that time we were talking about? And then like nothing, just fucking gone. And then there were a few where I was like, I'm just not interested in this, because you get plenty of matches where you're like, no, I don't want this. Sorry. You exchange a few words, and it's like, I'm good. Especially on Tinder, because like Tinder, I took 100% the approach of just like,
right. I would
like the mass swipe, don't even look at what you're saying yes to, and then sometimes like you got a match and it's like, oh no, cancel that, right? Like that happened.
I will admit, I'm particularly proud in making a somewhat serious profile on OkCupid. Actually, it was probably the best written and concise online dating profile I've ever came up with. However, it was me in a mask for all the pictures except one.
Okay.
All right, that was on OkCupid. On Tinder, there were no pictures of me, just me in a mask and two other pictures, and that's it. And the two other pictures were unrelated to fucking everything else. In fact, the third picture was like a really nice, like, panoramic view photo I took of just like a bunch of birds on power lines right outside a supermarket.
Okay.
I just thought it was nice.
Sure.
So,
Come on, camera, work.
oh, maybe the camera's too busy looking at the super mega bright lights of Times Square.
It can't see that. It sees the green screen. We see that. They see that. The camera sees the green screen. No, I'm leaning back and it's having a hard time focusing. I don't know why.
Well-
it usually doesn't do this, but that it might be on its way out. God knows.
Well, is it because
I might need a new lens.
had technology hadn't conspired against you up until now? Maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of the trend.
Filling the quota.
It's fine.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about dating apps. I think the idea that people have about them is very what's the word here? It's not misunderstood. I guess they misunderstand the purpose of these things is the best way to look at it. Because I know people who have gotten into it and they think that there's going to be some kind of like, and now there's an influx of people that I can like, that my dating pool is opened up. And realistically, the top percentile of people are the ones who are having like an influx. It's kind of like the whole. I think it was like when we did the Eggy thing. I didn't know about it, but he did that like black pill thing where it was just
Right.
like hot guy and fucked up like then, but like it still worked.
Yeah.
So it mostly works off of either you put something in the bio where like I have money, or like business owner, or you have you're an attractive person, and that's the top percentile who are getting the like. And you have 17 new matches today. Did you put a picture of your abs on there? You're gonna get responses because people are they're shallow. And if you're out there looking for an actual like date, like a relationship with a person, lower your standards. And be patient because you're probably not going to get a lot of matches. It's true. If you don't have like a fuckboy profile, or you're not just out there trying to smash, you're not going to have that flood of people.
Well, I mean, depending on the app that you're using, it always startled me to see women like not seriously looking for something seriously. Where it was like, why are you on Tinder looking for a relationship?
Well, because for some people they don't have an active social life, and that's what they have.
But
now.
Tinder's synonymous with like
hookups. But like I said, people misunderstand it. They don't get that that's not what happens.
or like
there.
I'm on Tinder looking for friends. Like
Yeah. Well, looking for friends. Okay. Friends with benefits.
touche.
Maybe. Would Monoxus consider becoming an American gigolo if it paid well and had benefits?
Monoxus is going to be like laying pipe on like 60-year-old wives of executives that are ignored for 20 years. I want me some Monoxus.
Listen, we're not going to get personal. Like, I'm not talking to you. Like, I'm here to do a job. I take my work seriously.
If she tipped you an extra $250 if you were to show up with like a large pie and like a pizza delivery outfit and be like delivery and then like
No roleplay.
$500.
No roleplay.
No, there's no role play. You just have to show up in the outfit and with the pizza.
Fine. That's not a
we're
problem.
back to $250 though.
No roleplay.
No, but okay.
That's fine.
You just show up.
Where would I want and show up with a pizza? Okay. But
No. You have to wear
a
something.
pizza, like, delivery outfit
yes,
kind of thing, and have a pizza.
and
That's
that's
fine. That doesn't change the fact that I'm still
no
gonna-
role play.
No roleplay.
That's it. Okay.
I'm not going to be like the sexy
Then-
pizza boy.
Then A of the H. You heard it here first. Yes. Yes, he would.
I am effectively a prostitute. You pay me, I do the job, and then I fucking leave.
He's not selling his body. He's renting it out an hour at a time.
Like, you've got, oh, I'm sorry, you've got an hour and you want to waste some of that time with me doing, like, pizza boy nonsense? No. I'm here to just get the job done.
But could a woman pay extra for animal print Speedo?
I'd wear the animal print Speedo without getting paid. If that's what they wanted, and that was part of the... Because, like, you think I'm going to charge a low-end price for my body? Are you kidding me? No. Get out of here. But I would do it if there was an actual opportunity and there was, like, benefits. You have to keep in mind, though, I live here in the U.S. where
Madams,
sex work is crazy illegal and not protected.
Madams of New York City.
It's a mess.
You're looking at a free agent here. Monoxus the Midnight Cowboy.
Open up the brothels and tell me what kind of wages they make. Because if I can make more wages over at the pizzeria and get better benefits, why the fuck am I going to do that?
What if Monoxus ends up becoming a gigolo overseas, where in like a country where like sex workers are tested and they're unionized?
And properly protected. Sure, I wouldn't mind. I mean, it sounds like fun work. No fatties.
Wow.
No fatties, no roleplay. And I get to determine what fatty means, not the fucking no.
Ooh, okay.
Because I'm not having them be like, no, they're fine, and I'm like, no, they're obese too. Like, I know how these things work. Your BMI is high. Get out of here. Your roles have roles. Go away. No fatties, no roleplay.
Okay.
And depending on kinks, we'll talk. It's gonna cost you more.
It is okay. So they would be able to. So no fatties, no roleplay. What about so social events? No.
What do you mean social events?
Sometimes people like get escorts and gigolos, like of course for like sex.
Just to go on a date.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay. But what about a date and sex? They're paying you the whole time.
You're paying like, I assume this is hourly. This is a job. You're paying me hourly.
Yes.
So there'll be an hourly price. However you want to spend it. You want to just hang out and have cocktails? That's fine. You're still paying hourly.
Right.
Like, there's no getting this twisted. And I'm not going to be like, oh, well, we're not fucking. No, you get it. There's an hourly rate. And yeah, it's going to be on the higher end.
Okay then.
Because, like, technically you can just be having sex. But you're like, I want to hang out.
So
Alright.
so if the H goes, Monoxus will get whacked by disenfranchised prostitutes. He just brings too much competition to the streets of Europe. Is danger pimp.
Listen, if I have to have a pimp, I'd rather have someone that I trust and someone that
So-
knows how to handle the money well.
I'm gonna have to be showing him like pictures of women going like, is she a fatty? Is she a fatty? Is she
See,
a
that's
fatty?
what I mean. Like, I can trust you to actually
and I'm
handle
gonna
it
and I'm gonna
professionally.
have to be like, he's
Sorry,
free.
no.
He's free at like Thursday between 4 and 8 and Saturday between 1 and 6. So like, you know, what works for you, lady? He's a busy guy.
Don't work for me. Because I'd rather you handle my finances and, you know.
Shaking down old ladies that refuse to pay for Monoxis's hot foaming beef injections.
Plus, like, if I work at a brothel, they're gonna be like, listen, we have to treat, like, these are our customers. You have to treat them with respect. And then I see some, like, you know, big bitch come in the room, and I'm like, get out of here. And they're like, no, but, like, Monoxis, you have to. Like, they're a paying customer.
In a brothel,
Fuck off.
Monoxis would be screwed because all the women Al Bundy had scorned for would look at Monoxis and be like, I want some of that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, like I said, if it pays well, and the benefits are there, and I'm protected,
So,
it's a job, and it's no longer, like, at that
Instead
point, it is no longer sex as a fun leisure activity, like how I have sex. This is a job. And the second I'm in job mode, that's a whole different mindset. I'm not here to have fun. I'm not even here to, like, get off or finish. I'm here to, like, do whatever this person wants and then get them out and get to the next one because, like, I've got 8 hours to fill and, like, let's keep it moving, people.
yeah, hey, listen, he's got a raid in World of Warcraft at 9 p.m. He doesn't want to be late.
I'm on the clock. This has nothing to do with, like, and if they're like, oh, well, you know, you act like you like it, that's role playing. Unless I'm having fun, in which case it's not role playing.
He's just going to be like stone-faced the entire time when on top, no compassion, like a straight-faced orgasm.
I mean, listen, you're not paying me to enjoy myself.
He's just going to be like, 17 minutes later, okay, I'm done. And he just goes to the shower.
I'm done when they're done, or the time's up.
Deal. Oh, excuse me. Hey, of the H, you see what you just, like, unopened? Look at this.
I'm not looking at this because, like, there's a difference between, like, paid for sex and, like, having sex for fun. Having sex for fun, I don't think about the time.
Although,
I
honestly,
don't have to worry about things.
A of the H, like, there's gonna come a point where, like, in the beginning, I gotta be driving this guy around, all right? Then, because eventually he's gonna
No, we're not doing this on the streets.
No.
Why are we driving around?
Because, like, Ubering, 10 Ubers in an 8-hour day. 8 Ubers in an 8-hour day.
Why are we driving?
Oh, so you just want everyone to come to fucking your place? You're not even. Oh boy.
I said brothel, did I not?
No. But here's the problem.
I'm talking about you come to the location and I'm chilling on the couch, and then you walk up and it's like, which one do you want? And they're like, that one. And I'm like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
But
Sipping on like a gin and tonic.
But you will be
smoking a cigarette.
You will be at the mercy of fatties, though.
But then, because like, if a fatty walks in and is like, I want that one, and it's like, you can't have that one. And it's like, but I want him, and it's like, nope, that's our special boy. Like, no, you can have anyone but him. You don't have to tell them why.
Eventually, an older broad is gonna try to liberate him from this brothel. Watch.
I'm just saying, like, you as the pimp in this scenario have to understand who you're
I am
taking care
done
of.
when they're done. Now that is service. You see this fucking guy. Look, AFDH. Look at what you unearthed.
I'm just saying.
Monoxis thinks big. Papa Haynes' big house of boys.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna show up at the door and be like, come in. It's like, I want the ballroom mask, and she's like 370 pounds, and it's like, I'm sorry, lady.
No.
I'm very sorry. There's nothing you can offer in planet Earth. I'm very sorry.
It's not up to me. They have rules. No.
Listen, CDC health guidelines means like he can't no.
Well, here's the thing. He's a paid worker. I can't make him do anything. You know what I mean?
He's actually not he is an employee here, but he has he has a W-9 instead of a W-2 because we hire him as a freelancer.
He has religious reasons for not partaking in pork. So fuck off and pick someone else, please and thank you, or leave my establishment. What do you mean? Why are you being nice to these people? They're paying for sex. All right? They came here for a reason, and you said no. And if they're giving you shit, they start giving you lip.
Although then I'll turn into Stained Haynes assaulter of fat women because
No, just
eventually,
get out.
and then all of these ham hock arms and hands are gonna come flying at me when I tell them they can't sleep with Monoxis, even if they're willing to pay thousands up front.
I mean, look, you don't think we're going to end up having that for other things in a place like that? You don't think there are situations where it's like, because this is a regulated, like, you have freedoms here. We're not talking about, like, current politics of, like, you're a hoe and you do what the pimp tells you because it's hard times. No,
Right.
we're talking about a professional industry here. You don't think there's going to be some guy there who's just going to be like, all right, here's the deal. Like, I got no problem with, like, X, Y, and Z. But then he's going to have a moment of, like, but no Chinese. And you're like, whoa, like, all right, but like, and then like some girls like him, you have to be like, I'm sorry, man, you can't have him
No Chinese.
because that was his rule. Someone could be like, no redheads. I don't fuck with redheads. I can't get it up with redheads.
Imagine like there's a Chinese dude like in the brothel and he doesn't sleep with Chinese women.
He might.
Like,
He might.
that would be the ultimate hilarity right there.
And again, we're talking about sex here because like, I'm not attracted to obese people. So if you were like, fuck the fatty, I'd be like, my dick's not gonna get hard. We're gonna fight.
There's a guy whose fetish is disabled women, so like all the disabled ladies, he's a hit with them.
Like, come on.
Oh my god, this guy's like a kid in a cage.
All right, look, I gotta call it. I got shit to do, and this conversation feels like a good time to wrap things up.
All right, ladies and
Because
jerks.
now we're starting to get into weird territory. We're like,
Okay, how about this? One last question. So, would you take a client if she was willing to pay you extra, if she was able to put saran wrap over you, throw pastries at you, and scream at you, and that was the only way she could get turned on before you just gave her the old 1-2 mascaroo?
yeah, I don't see why not.
All right.
I mean,
the old 1-2 mascaroo.
it's not my thing, but if that's what she wants to do, if that's what works.
All right, I could get behind that.
That's
I could
on
get
your
behind
time,
that.
lady. However long it takes you to wrap me in plastic wrap, throw pastries, and yell, and then you have whatever time after to do whatever else you got to do. I really hope it's not a long-winded process.
Right.
No furries.
Deal.
No fursuits.
Ladies and jerks, gracias por mirando aquí hoy noche. We're logging off, and we hope this finds all of you well. Get some rest, and if the sun is out where you're over, I hope your day is seamless. All
All right,
right?
everybody. Thank you for coming by.
Buenas noches, caballeros y caballeras, you jerks.